It destroys the soul to hear that you're all hype, that you have no talent, and that your whole career has been contrived. Ladies, gentlemen, and variations thereupon, watching it come true, it's taking over you. This is the greatest show. This is Modern Escapism. Hello, my name is Oodles, the Chinese democracy of podcast hosts, and today I am joined by the Hype Master General Stig.
Yo, 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 yo!
Yeah, boy. Is sick to death of the gin hype craze. It's Gadget.
I don't know what any of that sentence meant.
Doesn't matter. And last but by no means least, the man that needs no hype, and once called by the Dalai Lama as the most humble man in Britain, it's Biggie.
What up, son?
Welcome to the greatest podcast. How are you all doing?
All right.
Better than you?
Yeah. I mean, I'm tired, but you're fucked.
I'm fine,
Yeah, of
boys.
course you
I'm
are.
fine. Let's just get it over and done with. Someone else talk for about 10 minutes so I don't have to. Stig, what have you been up to?
Last week, I didn't have much to say, did I, other than about Mario Galaxy? But this week, I have done quite a lot, actually. So
Good.
I'm just going to fly through a few things first before I touch on my main one. Me and my wife watched through the whole of Shadow and Bone on Netflix.
I watched episode 1.
This is an adaptation of a young adult fantasy by Leah Bardugo. I really enjoyed it, actually. I can see why maybe after the first episode you might have gone, it's not for me. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of names. There's a lot of faces.
I liked it.
There's a lot of stuff kind of hard to get into. They kind of throw it all at you to start with. But like, yeah, we just really enjoyed it as we went through. If you're kind of into your fantasy books and shows, I think it's well worth a watch, to be honest. Kind of has this Russian Empire aesthetic to it.
That's what I was getting from it, yeah.
Yeah. And it's basically based upon somebody has released what is called the Fold across the world, which is this big, huge dark shadow that covers half the world. And in there are all kinds of creatures, and traveling from one side to the other is obviously perilous. And it's just caused a massive rift in the country, and there's just wars and stuff going on between each sides. But the only way to destroy the Fold is to find the sun summoner, and they find her, and it's basically about her and her.
They should have called her the Sunmaner.
Yes,
in my
maybe.
opinion.
It would have been a bit easier than keep saying sun. I can't even
Yeah,
say it.
yeah.
The sun summoner every time. But yeah, no, we really enjoyed it. I didn't know if my wife would like it much. I'm kind of really into my fantasy novels and shit like that, so I really enjoy it when they bring out these shows like this. But she got really into it and enjoyed like the characters and really got like into them, and that's on Netflix. That's well worth watching. And the other thing that I absolutely loved, which is also on Netflix, was The Mitchells versus the Machines.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I've been meaning to watch this.
Yeah.
So this is by
Please
the
tell me
people
it's
who did Into the Spider-Verse, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, and something else.
Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs too?
Yep.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, it's written by I forget what the bloody called now. I've lost it.
Just find it. Cut
Lord
it.
and Miller.
There you go.
So Lord and
Well
Miller
done.
production. That's it.
Hold it back.
Yeah. So anyway, this centers around the Mitchell family, who decide the father decides to take the daughter on her cross country from their home to her new college life to kind of repair some bonds that have kind of gone askew over the last few years as she's been growing up. And he's very much an outdoorsy man, and she is like all about technology, and she's going to film school, and he just doesn't really get her at all. So he thinks this is a perfect chance for us to bond. I'll take her to college. We'll have this final road trip, and we'll have a good time. We'll have a big family bonding session. But during all that, there is a guy who creates a murderous AI robot who unleashes a whole load of robots on the Earth, and they steal every human, and she plans to basically blow them all into space.
Don't you just hate that when that happens?
Yes.
When you're just going for a long road trip.
All the time.
There's world-ending AIs out there.
Yeah, and as it would happen, the Mitchells are the only humans left, so it's up to them to save humanity together as a family.
Of course.
Yeah, but I thought it was incredible. It's full of heart, great characters, proper wonderful moments, and it's absolutely hilarious. So many laugh out loud moments. There's a part in the mall that actually had me crying with laughter. I don't want to say what it is because it'll spoil the fun, but you'll know what I mean when you've watched it, or if you have watched it. Even using that cliche of, like in animated films where they have like a really stupid dog. So this is a pug. He obviously has eyes that go wandering, and because it's a pug and pugs look stupid, and they have this amazing. They have this
You're like
reoccurring.
Oodles right now.
Yeah,
Oi, mouth.
but yeah, they have this reoccurring joke around the pug, and it never gets old. Like the first time you hear it, it's incredible, and then they do it again and again, but it works, and it's such a great joke.
Is it a better visual gag animal than the chicken in Moana?
Yeah,
because that's the top tier for me. That chicken in Moana.
Fucking brilliant when it sneaks on that boat.
Oh yeah,
it is better than that in my opinion.
What?
wow.
He is great. The pug is brilliant. It just kind of again, it does just kind of turn up in random spots when they need it. It's like, where's the dog? Oh, it's there, and it's just doing something. Yeah, the animation style is brilliant. They have obviously it's a CGI, but they have the use of all these hand drawn animations and like these hearts and rainbows, creatures, emoticons, and that kind of springing around the head. Like it's the kind of world of how the daughter sees it. It just looks really good, and it's just a film that'll leave you feeling really great with a big smile on your face. Like I just loved it. So
A lot of positive reviews have been around that movie.
yes,
I'm buzzing for that then.
yeah. So on to what I wanted to talk about. I just wanted to talk about them too because
Get them
I've
out of the
watched
way,
them
yeah,
and they're
absolutely.
really good. I started. Has anyone watched the Harley Quinn animated TV series?
Yes.
Yeah,
No, but I've heard good things.
I started that this week, and I really, really enjoying it.
I like it.
It's very sweary. It's very bloody, and it just takes the piss on all superhero tropes. Like, this stars This is obviously Harley Quinn. They're voiced by Kaylee Cuoco.
Kuoko.
Yeah, from Big Bang Theory, and it's basically about her setting up on her own after breaking up with the Joker, who's played by Alan Tudyk.
How many dicks has he got?
That's an odd voice actor to play the Joker, but I'm into
No,
it.
Tudyk can do
Yeah,
loads, mate.
yeah.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know he can. But it's
Well,
just
he
like,
plays the chicken in Moana.
Yeah, he does.
He does.
Yeah.
What, does he?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
He often pops up just doing random voices or like animal noises and things.
He's good in iRobot as well, isn't he?
Yeah. But so this centers around her trying to find herself, making her own team in an attempt to get into the Legion of Doom. Her crew consists of Dr. Psycho, who's played by Tony Hale of Arrested Development, King Shark, who's voiced by Ron Funches, and Clayface, who's Alan Tudyk does him as well.
Yeah.
And her best friend, Poison Ivy, which is Lake Bell. So Ivy is kind of like the give no shit. It's kind of, she tries to act badass. She tries to act like she doesn't care, but she does. But she's trying to look out for Harley the best she can, because Harley is obviously a broken mess. And the joke is like, no. It's like, he broke up with her, but it's like, he tried, that manipulation he does of Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
And she goes back to him every time. So Harley has eventually convinced her, he is a dickhead. You need to go out on your own. So this is what we see. But, Poison Ivy is flawed as well. Like, she has a thing for Kite Man, of all people.
Yeah. Hey, Kite Man's got a good run in some storylines. Don't fucking diss
Kite Man
Man
is great in this, though.
Love Kite Man.
Like, obviously, they take the piss out of him that his only special power is that he has a kite.
Yeah, that's a good power.
But he's a proper douchey guy. So
Can all be heroes. And
Harley lives with her and her plant Frank, who is basically like Audrey 2.
Right.
So just imagine Audrey 2, but
Yeah.
Frank. Yeah. So she forms his crew. Dr. Psycho, he got kicked out of the Legion of Doom because he calls Wonder Woman a cunt.
Yeah. I remember that
in front of the whole world. Apparently, that is the limit for the Legion of Doom.
Yeah, they don't like cursing.
Yeah, even though
I'm going to watch this now.
Yeah,
That's
even
really
though the
good.
show starts with the Joker just killing people and their bodies melting, like that is the limit. And Clayface is a thespian actor who insists that everyone he morphs into has some elaborate backstory. He has to tell everyone like this is the backstory about everyone. And then King Shark is just like a really level-headed hacker walking around in a hoodie, his Vans, and he's kind of like just normal until he has fits of rage every now and again. So when he smells blood, or when he like, there's one point he walks into somewhere and he's just kind of chatting. He's like, "I'm really glad that that Harley like invited me to do this." Like blah blah blah, and he just walks over to the security guard and chomps him in half, like it's nothing. Yeah, it's so funny. It features a load of B and C class characters from like Cyborgman, Queen of Fables, Jason Praxis, and then it has loads of heavy hitters: Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Penguin, etc. But like they're not scared of just fucking around with the characters. Like Zeus plays a proper like Jordan Belford from like Wolf of Wall Street character. He's like this self-help motivational speaker, but a proper douchebag. Like when Harley goes to see him, he's just there with his robe open and his knob hanging out and everything, and he's just like, they just make like the god, Zeus a god of thunder. Is it thunder? No. Yeah, God of Thunder is just like a dickhead. Yeah, Jim Gordon is a self-hating, run-down cop, dishevelled and scruffy, because his home life's in tatters, and he just wants Batman to be his friend.
Yeah.
But yeah, they do all this like really stupid stuff. Like they'll have like a Tinder-style setup for finding a nemesis, or estate agents who only deal in evil layers. One of the best thing about it is that they break into Wayne Tech, and the building is big and black with a W that looks kind of like a bat symbol, and the top of the building has two pointy ears on it. And no one clicks. No one clicks. Yeah, it's just so funny. Like it has no issue with killing off B characters or taking the piss out the tropes or anything like that. And nothing seems to be off the table with it. So I've been really enjoying that, and I'm looking forward to getting through the rest of it. You can get this on Amazon Prime, but you have to pay for it. It's not like on any streaming service at the moment. I believe it was meant to be coming to 4OD, but it's
I was just about to say 4OD, yeah.
Yes, but you have to pay for it if you want to watch that one. That's me this week, so I've done quite a lot actually for once.
Excellent, mate. Thank you, and you've redeemed yourself from last week.
Yeah.
So, Biggie, what have you been doing?
Been a bit busy with work, so I've not been up to much. So
excuses.
Season
2 of This Is Us. Really enjoying that.
Oh, you're blitzing.
How are you enjoying that, Oodles?
Oh my god, that show makes me ugly cry every episode.
I know, it's good, isn't it?
I'm only about halfway through season 1 because I can't put myself through it all. I don't know how you can watch it so fast. It's so harrowing.
It is, but it's good. There's a lot of good.
Oh, there's good episodes as well. Yeah,
there is.
Fucking hell, that's. Oof.
But yeah, I've been enjoying that, and also playing Final Fantasy VII.
Never heard of it.
I'm making my way through it.
What disc are you on now?
I am about to do the gold chocobo stuff.
Disc 2 or 3 then, yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine then.
I've done the bit where the Cloud has his coma.
Spoiler alert.
He doesn't have a coma, no.
No, I'm joking, mate. It's like a 20-year-old game. Hook it.
Yeah, I think that's acceptable. I'm slowly playing my way through that and really enjoying it and loving it all over again. It's really good.
Okay.
And I also whacked on for one night Cyberpunk.
Oh.
With the patches, just to see if it was in the playable format. And
seems very apt for this episode.
Yeah, it's okay.
No, that's not good enough.
It's better than it was last time I put it on. So I had a little tinker with it, but not long enough to get an overall impression. But what I did see, it seemed to be running okay. But I hear there's more to come. So
that update was 58 gigabytes.
I'm waiting for the sequel.
It's bigger than most games. It still hasn't fixed it.
I'm still waiting for the next gen patch to come out before I go back to it. I think I'm just going to restart it when
on the PS6 when that comes out.
Yeah. And in case people aren't aware, it's still missing from the PSN store if you wanted to buy it digitally. So we're now into month 5 or 6. 6 it was dropped.
it's still also kind of broken on the consoles and definitely not playable at all on the base PS4 and Xbox One.
So, still playable on Stadia, though, isn't it?
Yeah, apparently, it's the best
version.
The best way to play it is on Stadia. The only game that they can say that about.
Yeah. I left it in a really good place on my PC when all the patches started. Like they said, I'm going to.
So you can just dive back in.
So I've left it at a really good point where I'm not going to forget what happened.
Yeah.
Basically, it's the end of the start. What
the tutorial.
Call it. No,
the prologue.
Prologue. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it for me.
Okay, excellent. So, Gadget, you've been doing?
Well, I have been doing what possibly most of the internet has been doing. And
fapping?
I mean, interacting with a piece of medium that the internet has been so
wanking,
fucking horny for. He said wanking there.
I said fapping.
It took me ages for my brain to kick.
He did very well to just ignore it and carry on.
Yeah,
you talked for 5 minutes about fapping. I mean,
no, I've been playing Resident Evil 8 Village, or Resident Evil Village as it's called, and I'm about halfway through the game. I know Oodles has finished it. I'm not going to be going into kind of massive spoilers talking about it, but I played it for about 5 hours on Saturday, and I think it's really good. It's I was worried about it when going through all the hype coming out for it and all the kind of the reveals, because if you've been on the internet in the last 6 months, all the marketing has been around Lady Dimitrescu, or however you say it, and her three lovely psychotic murderous daughters, and the whole idea of being in the castle, and she's chasing you, and it's the big lady, and there's the memes.
It's the main bits of the trailer. Everything that they've shown has been that. Even the demo was a big chunk of that.
Yeah. But I'm happy to say that she's not the only focus of the game, and I'm happy to say there is actually a game there.
There really is. It really is.
I will say, from what I've played so far, it's doing a lot that I like. A few things I don't like. Mostly down to the writing. I don't think the writing's as good as it was in Resident Evil 7, especially in Ethan himself.
Ethan's one of the worst characters in the world.
Yeah, he's one of the worst characters of all time.
He's fucking shit.
In Resident Evil 7, when Ethan was introduced, his character was a bit shit, but he was a bit of a blank slate because he was this brand new character.
He had no history, did he? He had no background.
He had no history, no background, and he was put in a situation where he was entirely unprepared for it.
Yeah.
And you kind of expect him to say the odd boneheaded thing and just to be reacting to what he's seeing. Fine. That's great.
Officer, you've got to give me your gun.
Yes. In Resident Evil 8, this is 3 years on from Resident Evil 7. He saw some horrific shit in Resident Evil 7.
Yeah.
Had his hand chopped off, had his hand put back on.
His leg cut off.
His leg cut off, his leg put back on with the magic medicine juice.
Just mix a few herbs together, did he, and just put it back
basically,
on?
Yeah.
Genuinely it, yeah.
He was chased by cannibals, by huge monsters. He had to save his save his wife rather, and all this kind of bullshit happened in Resident Evil 7. In Resident Evil 8, he's entirely unprepared for the situation that he finds him in.
What's happening?
Even though in the intro cutscene he's talking to Mia, his wife, and saying, "Oh, it's been 3 years since Louisiana. We've been through all this. We've moved to another country. I've had military training from Chris Redfield."
Did you notice as well in his study that you can explore military books and how to reload weapons and stuff?
Yeah. The extent of Ethan Winter's military training is that he's learned how to reload properly. Yeah. That's it. He does a tactical reload now rather than just dropping the clip on the ground.
Can he move forward and turn and fire at the same time? Has he?
Oh, yeah. Barely.
Well, there's no strafing.
Barely, because there's no strafing. They've put they've changed the mechanics. So the first person shooter kind of mechanics in 7 were quite snappy, and Ethan moved quite responsively to what you do. Now it feels like they've maybe told maybe Ethan's gained about 400 pounds
or something, because
like a big
boy.
You turn the analog stick and you feel the gun swing round as if this pistol that he's holding weighs 2 tons, and he's slow. And every time you walk anywhere, all you get is this panting and out of breathness from Ethan, even if you've just casually walked up a set of stairs.
So I read a review about that. I read a review about it, and someone said, "Don't forget, he's carrying a massive briefcase full of weapons with him. But that's why he's walking slowly."
A briefcase, because that's handy. Just
that's the inventory though. He's got a briefcase.
Yeah, it's like Resident Evil 4. Like I say, it's not quite as good as 7. It's about an 8 out of 10 for me so far. There is some really good stuff that I don't want to spoil for people.
Yeah, you can't talk about any of the story at all.
No, I don't want to talk about the story. I like the way the levels are set out because, like Resident Evil 7 again was quite linear, whereas Resident Evil 8's gone back to that kind of the classic Resi design where everything's done on loops, so you kind of loop through an area several times, unlocking things as you go, as you get more inventory items. The inventory management is a big thing. You've got the merchant concept, which has come back from Resident Evil 4.
Which is with better in
the Duke, he's fucking brilliant. I love him. Some of his the first time you see him, it's quite horrific. I thought I had to shoot him. I'd ignored all the pre-release stuff and didn't realize that he was in the pre-release stuff.
I adore him.
But he's got some really good dialogue, and there's a crafting mechanic to it, so you can make ammo as you go, which I'm not so keen on, but it's helpful in a fight. It is more action focused. I mean, I'm playing on casual difficulty because I want the story, and then I'll go back and play on hardcore. So it might be different playing it on hardcore. But you feel quite powerful quite early on. The opening does the Outlast thing of basically dropping you in a place full of monsters and telling you to fucking run and survive. No weapons. That was quite hairy. That was about the closest it's gotten to scary. It's not a scary game at all.
No, I think Capcom have invented a new genre, which is gothic fantasy, survival gothic fantasy. Maybe, yeah. That's there you go.
Yeah,
it's not scary. There is scary bits. But it's not a horror game. No, yeah.
There's been a couple of jump scares that made me go ooh.
It makes me it makes me think of Van Helsing.
Very
Hugh Jackman film. That's what it makes me think of. It's like a 12A horror.
Yeah.
Lots of blood and guts. Don't get me wrong.
Is this a good thing or a bad thing for it though?
For me, my review's slightly different to Gadget, so I'll let him.
For me, I think it's a good thing because I don't think. Like, at this point, Resident Evil's gotten so silly, and like when you actually get into the plot of it, the bits I'm not going to spoil, it's incredibly silly. It's like it's silly by Resident Evil standards, some of the shit that goes on in this game. And the fact that the developers are determined to torture poor Ethan to within an inch of his life, more so than he endured in the first game. I say the first game, the 7th game. But like presentation-wise, it's beautiful. Like, I'm playing on the Series X rather than the PC. I've got the ray tracing on. It's running at 4K, 60 frames a second with the ray tracing on. It's gorgeous, absolutely beautiful game. Facial animations are really good. It was a big problem with 7. The facial animations were really bad and really stilted. The RE engine is still witchcraft. I said that on the Monster Hunter.
It's incredible.
Chat. It looks.
Do you know
brilliant.
what? And this is not a spoiler either because it's the first minute of the game. That's the best looking baby I've ever seen in a game. It looks like a little frumpy baby.
Yeah, it looks like
babies
a
are ugly, and that's a really ugly frumpy baby.
There's an episode titled "Babies Are Ugly."
So they make
baby?
In games they make babies look like porcelain dolls. Babies don't look like dolls; they look like ugly little sacks of potatoes. You know what I mean? They're just little.
They're all squashed up.
Yeah, and that's what it looks like. It's so ugly and it's believable.
Yeah, it looks realistic. Like I say, the only thing that's not really in a game with vampires and lichens and Resident Evil monsters, the only thing in that game that's not believable is Ethan Winters himself.
Yeah.
The man's fucking useless.
Yeah.
I don't understand Resident Evil these days. They've gone from like zombies and tyrants and a few lizard creatures to like, oh, now there's vampires.
It's explained. It's explained. Don't worry.
Yeah.
There is, and you'll have seen this in the kind of the pre-release marketing as well. The way they shove in the Umbrella logo into the game, like the first reveal of it, it's so funny because you just think, oh come on! It's like in Resident Evil 5 when they're going around, hey, this evil corporation we're dealing with now is Tricell, and then Chris Redfield like turns a corner and there's an umbrella barrel. It's like it's that level of crap. But yeah, it's like an 8 out of 10. It's not quite as good as 7 so far, but I'm really enjoying it. It's a fun romp. And I think if you try and approach it as an actual horror game, quote unquote, you'll be disappointed. But if you approach it as just a fun game with lots of monsters to shoot and some really tasty guns and the big lady, then you're in for a very good time.
I guess it's a good choice of game because this was hyped.
Yeah, and I'll just briefly chat about Resident Evil Village because Gadget's more or less everything we've discussed privately, we're more or less like in agreement. Like, I think the game is an 8 out of 10 until I unlocked the Mercenaries mode, which gave it another point because that's really fucking good.
Yeah,
I mean, that's not even a spoiler. Everyone knew there was a Mercenaries mode. That just it gives it replay value that a lot of Resident Evils lack. because they skip it on a lot of the games, don't they? Sometimes the immersion mode is just not good.
Yeah.
But this one's really good. Nice and arcadey, just daft and yeah. But the game itself, mechanically, it is 7. Slower 7. I think it's deliberate. I think you're supposed to feel like the weight of the world is crushing Ethan's soul. So yeah, it does plod along in the snow and stuff, doesn't it? My favourite aspect of the whole thing is the enemy variety.
Oh yeah, there's a fight.
Like, gadgets getting to the halfway point in the game. I thought, once I'd got to where Gadget is now, I thought, I'm never going to see different enemies now. No, wrong. There is at least, off the top of my head, I can count them, there's at least 25 enemy variations. And I'm not on about palette swaps. I'm talking different looking enemies. You think back to Resident Evil 1, zombies, hunters, dogs. Yeah, there weren't many, were there? There weren't many.
No.
But this, fucking hell. And then you think of Resident Evil 7, just one enemy type and bosses.
Molded, yeah. Yeah. There was 2 variants of the molded, wasn't there? There was one that jumped at you and the one that
had a
walked
claw.
At you.
On the big bloating ones.
Oh,
as well.
big lads. So 3 variations of it.
This is that's what reminds me more of like Van Helsing or like a universal horror type thing. I could actually see like Tom Cruise playing Ethan Winters, to be fair. Like the Mummy type thing.
Then I'd be all on board for the amount of abuse he
yeah. The thing
Tom Cruise does like running.
Yeah, he does. Ethan doesn't in this.
Doesn't run away a lot then.
No, he just can't.
There was one point I was doing one of the boss fights, not going to spoil it or anything like that, but it's one of those ones where small arena, big thing to fight. And I was like getting to the point, turn around, shoot it a couple of times, and I'm pressing in the left stick, and I actually thought, is he running?
No.
I had to press the stick a couple of times, confirming, no, this is his running speed.
The speed, he's got skulk, which is the default, and then like not even a canter for his squawk. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, mechanically, it's got a massive weapon variety as well, and I'm not even going to tell you what they are, but the unlockable weapons are fucking insane. Like, I've never seen this in a Resident Evil, the unlockable weapons that you can get, which you play Mercenaries mode to get these weapons to play in the main game. So,
okay.
Yeah, oh my God, I can't wait. It's going to take a lot to get to them because they're very expensive in-game currency. But it's one of those games that everything's explained at the last second, and I was like, whoa, you know what I mean? I'm like, fucking relax, whoa, law, just shoving law in my face. I'm like, bloody hell, calm down. I wish it were paced a bit better with the story content, but it's great. I really liked it. Like I said, because of Mercenaries, I give it a 9 out of 10, but failing that, it'd just be an 8 out of 10, like Gadget says. So if you don't like really like survival horror, scary horror, it's only like I'm gonna be frank with you. It's only scary for about, in total, a real time hour. Separate parts of the game, but only for about an hour.
Yeah, and all I've encountered of it being scary is the opening, maybe half an hour or so, where you've got that kind of that
no
slow
weapons,
build, no weapons, stuff like that, and there is a point just leading up to the halfway point where it gets a bit creepy.
Yeah.
So far,
but think about it, Gadget. That halfway scary bit, it's also a no weapons part as well.
Yeah.
So the true horror, you can't technically, you don't panic because you can't kill these things. It's psychological. If you can get past that, even if you don't like horror games, I think it's a good gothic fantasy game to just get lost in.
Yeah, and like I say, it's beautiful. It's one of the best looking games I've ever played.
And that intro with the book.
Yes.
Oh my God, brilliant.
Yeah.
It's in the
trailer, don't worry.
Sounds like the scary bits sound very much like Outlast.
Yeah.
Sort of.
No weapons, kind of you feeling of helplessness.
And it's one of those things. I think it's something Resident Evil has struggled with for a very long time. Like, as soon as you've got the shotgun in the game,
nothing's hard anymore.
It's not that nothing's hard, but you don't feel vulnerable.
Yeah.
Like in most Resident Evil games, when you're still working with the pistol, you still feel vulnerable. And the game's difficulty curve is slightly tweaked in the wrong direction because it's very easy to get ammo.
Well, I played it on hardcore straight off the bat, and by the end, I was like Rambo 3. I had bullet bandoliers around me and everything. I was like, I was like, and that was just in the main game, man. You should see me on Mercenaries. I'm a boss.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really good. It's really fun. It's not overly long. I thought it were longer when I saw my time, which was 8 hours, 15 minutes. I thought, fucking hell. I thought I'd run it for about 20 hours because I was enjoying it that much.
Yeah.
Plus, I were hungover.
Speaking of hungover, Oodles, what are you bringing to the table this week?
I want to talk to you about yesterday. So, if I'm listening to this Saturday,
all your troubles seem so far away.
So the world is slowly becoming somewhat normal again, and I got to socialise in a public house, beer garden, in torrential weather. So, got ready, 12 o'clock, meet my mates in the local, got my umbrella. We start the banter, watch a bit of football on a strange projector screen. It's weird, and obviously Leeds won, perfect, brilliant. Let's keep drinking. Got to about 5 p.m. I must 5, 6, 7 Guinness deep. We decided to go to my mate's back garden. He's got a nice like gazebo outside thing. We didn't break any laws. Well, I don't think I broke any laws all night because a lot of it was a blur. So we went in his back garden. We went to the.
We might need a disclaimer after this.
We went to the co-op before we went to my mates to pick up some dragon soup, which is what was it, Gad? It's 7.5%.
No, an 8% strength caffeinated alcoholic beverage of lurid flavour, according to the internet when I looked it up.
Yeah. So I drank 4 of them, and then I decided while I was in co-op, I'd get a big 2-litre bottle of apple sours, and I drank that out of the bottle. Like a
psychopath,
like a boss. I can remember me sitting going, "Oh, I might dilute this because it's so fucking strong in it." It's like
it's sweet,
very proper sweet. I'm just drinking it out like a fucking goblin, and I was just fucked, right? And we were just in. He's got heaters in his garden and that, so it weren't terrible, and just drinking, having shots and all that, talking about football, talking about memories, and just having a really fucking good time. Look at my watch. Oh my God, it's 3 a.m. in the morning. I better go home. I live a mile away from this house, so I stumbled home. I had to have a sit down halfway through because I was fucked. Got wet. Managed to get home. Somehow fell asleep downstairs on the kitchen floor. Woke up. I've lost a shoe. So one of my good Adidas shoes. So fuck knows where that's gone. That's somewhere in Pontefract. If you see a shoe, Adidas, size 10, it's mine.
And any of our listeners who have already members of our Discord group would have already seen this wonderful picture of Oodles this morning.
Yeah, man. I can't believe how early I got up as well. I had like 4 hours sleep. And yeah, it was just one of those, do you know, one of them, we've all had them, and especially way before the times we're in now.
Talk about, I never got drunk.
Fuck off. But these days, that they get beyond us, don't they? You don't, do you know, you've got that angel and that devil on your shoulder, and that angel never came with me, even at 12 o'clock in the afternoon.
That's because the devil on your shoulder's got it stuffed in his cupboard.
I think so. And
he's doing a gadget fapping on your shoulder.
He just got to... do you know, ideally, what I should have done at 5 o'clock when we left the pub, I should have gone, I have to walk past my house to go to co-op and to go to your house. I should have just gone, I'm going to go home now, lads.
So wait, hang on. You walked past your own house to go to the shop to buy more alcohol to walk back in the other direction?
Yeah.
See, I've got to the point now when I'm out, when I know I've hit a limit. And I'm just like, right, done. And I walk. Exactly. And I don't even tell my mates I'm going. I go home.
Are you one of them that sneaks off?
Yeah, and then I say, I've gone. Because I cannot be asked with the aggro. Like, stay out. Yeah. And then you stay out for another 2 hours and you just feel worse for it. So this is the problem when we did our Christmas podcast, is that I was already at home and nowhere to go.
What you did, you fell off the chair.
I did that. I didn't fall off the chair, but I did. If you notice, if you watch that video, I just is there a point where I'm like, I'm done here, and that's when I just turned it off.
Yeah,
So I didn't realize at some point during that. Just turn it off.
That's what I should have I should have been like, I'm done, me lads. But I was like having a war with myself. I was like walking past my street and I was looking down it, thinking, my family probably want me. They probably need me now. Then turn to face the other 5 lads. They need me more. So we just continue to Co-op, and Co-op is the most expensive place to buy alcohol in the world. Co-op is ridiculous.
Everything.
Oh God, I was like, what? Credit card, bang.
Hell, man.
Idiot. So yeah, don't drink dragon soup. Oh yeah, before I went to Co-op, I did call in Chippy as well, and got Chippy fish and chips. So have you ever seen drunk people eating fish and chips while walking?
Yes.
It's terrible. I didn't pick a little fork up or anything, so I was eating it like a dog. So that probably gave me that second wind, fish and chips. But
or heartburn. One of the two.
Oh, I forgot about heartburn. Mate, dragon soup. Liver burn. God. It's nice, though. It tastes nice on the tongue. But yeah, just one of those good days, and I'm hoping when we finally meet up for the first time, we're going to have a good day like that.
I'm going to bring a lot of dragon soup for you.
Oh, mate, it's incredible.
I just want to see what Oodles looks like drinking high-strength caffeinated alcohol.
There was one moment that I remember, because a lot of it were a blur. There was one moment, and it echoes in my mind now, when someone's saying, will you get off the garage? Will you get off it? Get off the garage. And that's all I remember. So I obviously climbed a garage at one point.
Maybe that's where your shoe is. Shit. Go look on top of the garages in Pontefract.
I'll text him.
Have a look out your window.
Why have you got the number of the guy at the garage?
No, garage.
Someone's garage. A house.
A detached garage from the house.
Do you know what? I was just picturing like some SO or...
I've been to Texaco. Do you sell dragon soup? It's 3 in the morning, but I need more.
I'm going to burn us all alive.
It's so good. I'm going to be drinking that on his D&D podcast. I can promise you that much.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah. It's so good. I'm going to order a crate. But yeah, that's what I've been doing. So, from my depravity, let's go on. Biggie, what are we talking about this week?
This week, we're talking about when the hype surrounding something just didn't deliver. Whether it was promotional or critical hype, or even just friends hyping something up. What failed to live up to it? And like Chuck D and Flavor Flav put it best, don't believe the hype. Blah.
Brilliant. I knew that quote was coming somewhere. I said it last week at the end of it. I fucking don't believe that. I've seen people have that tattoo and I've gone, yeah, I like it. It's one of my favourite sayings. But yeah, we're going to talk about, this is more of a personal thing rather than a critical and any other thing. It's hype that we've obviously created in our own minds and listened to communities and listened to internets and all this, and it's underwhelmed us in the end. So just, this is subjective. Don't be angry at us. And we're going to start with Stig.
Okay, this isn't subjective. I'll tell you right now, my first one is 100% not subjective. This is renownedly hated by everybody. Probably by the people involved in it as well. So I'm going to bore Biggie now. I'm going to sit and talk about wrestling for the next 5 minutes.
Oh, I love wrestling chat, mate.
I'm only joking.
So I'm going to talk about Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar.
Good resistance.
And that's me. I'm done. That's it. Yeah, so Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar, WrestleMania 20. This took place in 2004.
Yep.
Goldberg was... in the late 90s, you had WCW and WWE, and they went head-to-head with each other every Monday night, and it was known as the Monday Night Wars in wrestling. And Goldberg was WCW's juggernaut. I've talked about him before in a previous episode. This guy had a 173-0 record. He was like one of the big-time players at WCW, an absolute titan, huge, massive, muscular guy, just ripped through people. Brock Lesnar, again, is another absolute
beast.
monster. He's a freak, a genetic freak, that man.
Yeah.
That's the best way to describe it. He debuted in 2002 in WWE at the age of 25, and he just plowed through everyone. And he won the title from The Rock. So not even from like a lower level guy. He beat
from the people's champion
after only being on TV for 5 months. That's how good he was and how revered he was. So and at the time, he was the youngest champ ever.
Mm.
So in 2001, WCW went out of business and they were bought by WWE. Goldberg and a bunch of other high-profile wrestlers didn't jump ship at that point. Some of them did, some of them didn't, because some of them were sat on contracts worth millions, and they basically sat on their ass for 2 or 3 years collecting millions, because why cancel a contract like that?
It's a buyout anyway, isn't it?
Yeah. So they just received their money from Turner, the company, and when their contract was up, they were eligible to sign for the WWE. So Goldberg joined in 2003, the night after WrestleMania 19. As a typical Goldberg year, just fighting all the big guys, just beating them all. On the other show was Brock Lesnar. So the shows SmackDown and Raw at the time were split into two, so they had one roster on one and one on the other, so they didn't kind of mix. So they had a world champ on each side. So Brock Lesnar was on SmackDown. And in 2004 Royal Rumble, these two had a bit of a backstage altercation, heated debate, and during the Rumble, Brock Lesnar runs in, he wasn't part of it, does his finishing move on Goldberg, and Goldberg gets thrown out. So Brock Lesnar is the reason that Goldberg gets thrown out of the Royal Rumble and doesn't get his title shot at WrestleMania. On the next pay-per-view, Brock Lesnar's facing Eddie Guerrero for the WWE title, and Goldberg interferes with that, costs Brock Lesnar the title. This sets up a match between the two at WrestleMania 20. So as a little bit of background there into the guys and where they come from, these two were absolute massive juggernauts of each company. Like, you expect
Brock Lesnar, you wouldn't fucking mess with him, would you?
No, he's fucking massive. But
he
Goldberg
could pick us all up.
Goldberg stood next to Lesnar. They just, he's as physically, what's the word I'm looking for? Threatening and kind of.
Oh yeah, they're both big boys.
They're both big lads, yeah, and like they're both, you would describe them, they're the biggest and baddest wrecking machines of pro wrestling. Two
monsters,
of them,
aren't they?
The biggest monsters you've ever seen. So you're expecting, fuck me, when this match delivers, these two are just going to kind of charge at each other. It's just going to be absolute wrecking.
It's going to be no ring left.
5-6 minutes of just beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
And he even brought Stone Cold Steve Austin in as a special guest referee for this.
Yeah.
So that it was even bigger than it was. Cut to the match.
Here we go.
Rumors are going around. Both these guys are leaving after WrestleMania. So this was the time of about when the internet dirt sheets were prominent, where you could get information about what was going on backstage, people's contracts coming up, like people who might be joining the companies.
Weren't the things about becoming actors as well?
Yeah, so Lesnar wanted to leave to be in the NFL.
Yeah, that was it.
And Goldberg wanted to leave for Hollywood.
Yeah.
So their contracts are up, and the crowd knew it, and the crowd gave them a lot of shit about it.
And there's nothing worse than a wrestling crowd.
Yeah.
They know how to keep a match going.
So you've got the crowd basically giving them a lot of shit, and in turn, what the guys did was spent 15 minutes doing fuck all.
Yeah.
Like, 15 minutes doesn't sound a lot, but in wrestling matches, that's quite a long match, on an average.
Some title matches have been fucking 15 minutes.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
like some will go like half an hour, 40 minutes, but they're like the
big ones.
Amazing, really great matches, but most matches last 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So you imagine 15 minutes of these guys who you thought were going to just destroy each other. They just lock up. They do rest holds. They walk around the ring. They back away from each other. There's
a lot of holding each other's shoulders, isn't there?
Yeah, they did absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So this massive match that they hyped up, the WWE hyped up so big, like these two guys finally going to come together and beat the shit out of each other. You've even got Stone Cold Steve Austin in there, was just...
Yep.
It was absolutely terrible. It's down as one of the worst WrestleMania matches of all time.
I remember watching a YouTube thing, unofficially, and they were like the second worst match of all time. I remember the hype leading up to it. There were adverts on normal telly and everything. It was massive.
Yeah, it wasn't even a title match, but it was probably the one of the biggest matches on the card.
It was probably the draw, though, wasn't it? To everyone,
yeah,
watch these monsters.
Yeah, other than maybe the main title match, that was probably the biggest thing on there, and it just did not deliver. It was hyped up to the 11th degree. It was just.
I remember seeing it like advertised like a boxing match. You know how they do it. It's like
it was like they put so much time and effort into hyping this match on TV, and nothing happened. I mean, they eventually had a rematch in 2016, so it took them 12 years. This was Goldberg's first match back after the infamous WrestleMania 20 match. He beat Lesnar in 86 seconds.
Yeah,
and it was perfect.
That's what you want, though.
Yeah. He did 2 moves on Lesnar, beat him, and everyone was like, what the actual fuck did we just watch? Then they had a rematch, and it lasted 5 minutes, and it consisted of them running at each other, spearing each other, throwing each other into turnbuckles, spearing each other through the barricades, hitting all the finishes on each other, and it was done in 5 minutes. And it was great. And that is what you want. When you have 2 big hosses like that, you just want them to just run at each other.
It's not an endurance, is it? When the
doesn't have to be. No one's looking for a technical wrestling match. No one's looking for the best wrestling match ever. They just want 2 big guys beating the shit out of each other. And and when they do that, it's amazing. And what they did at WrestleMania 20 was they just the crowd booed. Like as he's literally Goldberg's going to give his finishing move to Lesnar, the crowd booed him. And then the biggest cheer of the night was when Stone Cold gave them both stunners.
Yeah.
What's the cost of tickets for that?
A lot.
A lot. I've been to it, and it's a lot of money.
A lot, mate.
So you imagine all those fans obviously being hyped up for that, to go to that, thinking it's going to be potentially the greatest match of all time, and then...
Mate, some WrestleMania tickets cost more than World Cup finals. You know what I mean? There's some ridiculous...
They're expensive.
Yeah.
I won't tell you how much I paid for
you better not.
Week. But yeah, that was my first one.
Good one, that. So, Gadget, go.
Okay, so for my first one, it's probably going to be a bit of a shorter one because I don't want to kind of delve into spoilery territory for present company and people around here, but also because it's a very loved thing, and this is one of those situations where I'm one of those outliers where the hype just didn't live up to it for me.
Are we ready for the hashtag contrarian moment?
Yes. Because I want to talk about The Last of Us 2.
What? Oh my God.
Man.
I did not see this coming. Oh my God.
So I adored The Last of Us. I bought it on the PS3 when it first came out. I bought the DLC. I bought it again on the PS4 when that version came out.
Did you play the multiplayer? I love that.
Yes, I played the multiplayer. I was very bad at it, but I very much enjoyed it. I really liked The Last of Us, and it was because I really enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the world that was built up, the presentation of it. Obviously, the voice acting and the kind of motion capture was incredible with it. It just won a Naughty Dog's best game. So when they said that they were doing a second one, I was a bit about it because I kind of expected there would be one coming because it's the video game industry. Something sells well, they're going to make another one. But
there's a long wait as well, wasn't there?
There was quite a long way, but I was also one of those people who believed that The Last of Us's story was kind of perfect.
I like how it ended.
And it had an
ambiguous ending.
Yeah, it could carry on or...
Yeah, well, that's on purpose, isn't it? Because then here we are.
Yeah, but I think a story like that with an ending like that is perfectly capped off because you can... Without spoiling the end of The Last of Us, because again, if someone encounters it, I don't want to have them spoiled for them. The ending leaves it in a decision of, well, is it A or is it B? A little bit like how Inception ends. Is it A or is it B?
Yeah.
And I think that works for that story because the story in The Last of Us is about this very grey world where the good guys are probably bad guys and bad guys might be good guys. And, you know, it's people trying to survive in a post-apocalyptic world where there's these infected running around who can, like zombies, will infect you with a single bite, and they're very lethal.
The Road and Children of Men.
Yeah.
Like that.
But the story that it tells is this wonderfully honest story about a man who lost his daughter at the beginning of the on the infection day, effectively getting this kind of surrogate father-daughter relationship with a young girl that he's charged with taking across country because there is something special about her.
Man, fuck.
Oh, the opening gets me every time still. And you know the main characters are portrayed. Joel's played by Troy Baker. Ellie's played by Ashley Johnson, and they're both incredible performances, and they're both it's like it's one of those performances for each of them where it's like they're no longer voice actors, they're just actors. It's just
fully motion captured, wasn't
fully
it?
Motion captured, beautifully acted, wonderful presentation. Like I said, Naughty Dog knocked it out of the park. So when they announced that they were doing The Last of Us 2, I was like, okay, I enjoyed the game. What are they doing? And then we saw the first trailer, which was from which was quite brutal and quite bloody.
It was
none of main characters that we knew.
It was all new characters.
Yeah.
It was none of the characters that we knew. Mm. And I thought, oh, I'm interested now because different party. That's not Ellie. That's not Joel. That's no one we know. Oh, and my hope for a Last of Us sequel was that, America's a big place and there would have been a lot of it on fire in this world. You could just pick up a story of people being The Last of Us elsewhere.
Yeah.
And you didn't need to carry on Joel and Ellie's story.
No, I agree.
And then further down the line, it came out that, oh, no, Ellie is in this. So what the hell was that?
She's on the box art.
Yeah, and she's on the box art. But she became part of the media, and like when they started showing off gameplay footage, it was gameplay of the Ellie sections of the game.
Yeah.
And then then there was reveals that so you have the story is in two halves. You have Ellie's journey and you have Abby's journey.
Yep.
And all this kind of came out. And when the game came out, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed playing it the first couple of hours of it. It was beautiful.
It's stunning.
The graphics were wonderful. Granted, my PS4 Pro sounded like it was about to take off because it really pushes that console hard.
Because it was taking off.
Yeah. And then you get to maybe about the 2-hour mark in it, and then what I'm going to say is the plot kicks in.
Does it?
And I stopped liking it.
Wow.
Not because of the events that happen in it. Don't get me wrong. What they do in the story, I think, is very brave, and I think it's a very interesting thing that they do. But it wasn't fun for me, and it wasn't entertaining for me because the story that you're given ruins the characters, in my opinion. I know a lot of people enjoy it, and there's been many video essays saying this is the most incredibly written game, this is the best story in the world. I get that, but the Last of Us Part 2 that I kind of wished I had that was kind of in my head would be very different to this, and probably wouldn't involve the characters involved. You could make a full game around Abby's story, and I'd be much happier with it.
Yeah, like you say, a second party.
Yeah. But yeah, so I just think that there was no way in hell that the Last of Us Part 2 could live up to the hype of The Last of Us. Because I think that's possibly my own fault, because I think I put the original game on such a pedestal because I do think it's probably one of the most perfect games ever made. It's in my top 5 of all games of all time.
That's what you've done, you see.
Yeah, and obviously when you think about it, there was this huge marketing push for The Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah.
And it was a game that I got to a certain point of it and I just didn't care anymore. Whereas I was gripped by the first game. I was absolutely gripped by the first game. And I ended up spoiling the plot for myself. I read up on what happens in the plot.
Dude.
And, well, because I got to a point where it's just like, I'm not playing it. I'm not going back to this. Like, it's a 30-hour long game.
It's huge.
Yeah. Which again, technical
Massive.
Achievement, wonderful. And I bet a lot of people loved it. But I was just thinking, I got like 10, 15 hours in. I was just like, I'm not having fun. Let's see how many chapters are left. It's just like, okay, no. So I went and spoiled the story for myself. And I'm kind of glad I did because I am not happy with the story as it comes out.
You're not on your own on that one, but a lot of people didn't.
Yeah. I'm not unhappy with the story for the reasons a lot of the internet were unhappy with the story.
I get that.
I don't think it's a bad story. It's just not the story I want from this world. And I think, like I say, if they had taken it in a different direction or just had the Abby storyline and not the Ellie one, I think it would have been a game for me.
Do you ever think sometimes, like coming from a writer's point of view, that sometimes you got that writer's analytical head on, you're like, I wouldn't have done that. Do you know what I mean?
Sort of. Sometimes it's kind of what I was saying about Resident Evil 8, where it's written really badly.
Oh, well, I can agree with that.
I don't think if you just had Abby's story, it just wouldn't be as effective.
It wouldn't. I'm
not at all
on this one. I'm not with you on this, Gadget. To be fair,
no, it's fine, and I fully expect that I'm a small voice in this argument. And I'm not saying like take Ellie's story out of it completely and just have Abby's story, because then it wouldn't make sense.
I think this game's better than your favourite game.
Probably.
But it's it's just that bit it does in the middle is, I think, to start with, I was like, what the fuck are they making me do here?
I
was like, why am I having to do this? Why am I doing? And then by the end of it, I was like, okay, right.
It makes sense, doesn't it?
I completely get why they made you do that as a player.
Yeah. Like I say, I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form it's a bad game or it's a bad story.
Oh, no.
It's just, the hype didn't deliver for me.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that through my own hype and through the external hype that came in from everyone, the entire world going, oh my God, it's going to be the most amazing, and all the marketing campaigns and all this kind of thing. And, seeing all the award shows last year and seeing Neil Druckmann slowly get piled under award statues.
It did get a lot, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. And it's just like, the more I'm thinking, it's just like, nah, I don't agree with all that. But like I say, I'm not going to take away from the fact that I know a lot of people really enjoyed the game.
Yeah.
And if you did, wonderful.
Yeah.
It wasn't for me.
You're glad that everyone else is happy.
Well, exactly. Yeah. Why would I?
Of course.
Why would I want to take that away from anybody?
Exactly.
Because you should be happy playing the game where the people in the game are really unhappy.
I
don't think anyone was happy actually playing the game.
It didn't drop at a perfect time in real life, did it?
No.
Nice bit of post-pandemic fiction.
Yeah. So I loved it, but we're going to move on to me now. I'm going to annoy even more people.
Uh-oh.
And there's caveats to this, because there's a story to it. I overhyped Final Fantasy VII.
What?
Whoa.
Yeah. So let me just be frank. I've been a long-term fan of this series since I could read. 6.
So 2 years ago.
Yeah. Yes. 2 years ago. 6 being my favourite. So I'm like, right, here we go. We're getting a 3D version of 6. Now, obviously, I knew it weren't going to be the same thing.
Yeah.
But we're getting this. And then it came out, and I played it through, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. That was good. Bit too easy for me. Coming from 6, 6 is notoriously quite challenging. And it's only over the years that I thought to myself, do you know what? I overhyped that. And to the point now where I often fall into arguments with people, it's the best one. It's the best one. It's like, how many have you played? 7 and 10. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I'm not being a gatekeeper or anything like that, but it's not the best one. It's the most user-friendly one. It's not overly complicated. The story is. The story is ridiculous. But that's what I'm overhyping, because I play these games for the mechanics, the grinding, the battling, all that. I love that shit.
Yeah.
Story's fine.
It's a cutscene, this lad.
Yeah. No, I don't. the story's fine. The story's fine. It's adequate, and look how many spin-offs we've got from it. You know what I mean? It's a nice world, but it's a broken fucking mess of a game. It's the fact that any of the characters that they want you to fall in love with can be anybody. There's no roles. Do you know what I mean? Like, top tip for everyone: just get long-range people in your party. What's the point in not? Just give all them the materia. Do you know what I mean? There's no point in having a close-range fighter. Put them all in the back row. There's no fucking point.
I mean, there's actually technically no need to have the main character in your party
at all.
Yeah,
at all. Just have all your long range at the back. You're not going to get it. That makes the game completely piss easy. You can spam it. Like, people say, like, this is getting really nerdy. Like, FF8, Final Fantasy VIII, the next one is even worse for that. But no one overhyped it. No, everyone was like, Final Fantasy VII was so good. We will never get better than this. And then 9 came out and fucked you all up. You know what I mean? 9's really good.
It is.
But yeah, it was one of those things like, it's mainly, it doesn't play really well. Have you ever gone back to, not you, Biggie, because you haven't even finished it yet. But
I haven't played it now, so.
But if you ever go back to it, playing others, like I know, Gadget, you've played a lot of them.
Yeah.
Stig's never even turned it on.
7's my favourite.
Is it the only one you've played?
I played like an hour of it.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. But everyone says 7's the favourite, because I think it's because they like the story, the narrative and stuff like that. They're not thinking of people that have played like JRPGs forever. Yeah. And it's not that. Think about it now, Gadget. It's not, is it? It's not the best to play.
No, it's not the best to play. It suffers from the fact that it was made was started for the SNES and then it went to the PlayStation.
It was N64 actually.
Oh, it was a N64. It feels like it was built for the generation before.
Yes,
it feels like it was built for the SNES generation.
Yeah.
And then kind of the 3D graphics were kind of retrofitted into it.
It's got 5 different chuffing art styles to it as well, that way through it.
It does, yeah.
Yeah. You can play through some bits of the game and be very aware that it's held together with sellotape.
Yes.
I do. There are some things about its brokenness that I do love, though, and I find a lot more fun than later Final Fantasies.
Yeah, because some are more mechanically sound. That's why you can't.
Yeah.
You can't like cheese it.
Yeah, my favorite thing in the world is entirely automating the final boss fight.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
But then also using that same technique to automate how you automate getting the requirements together for that final boss fight.
Yeah.
I don't want to say how you do it because I don't want to spoil it for Biggie, but it gets to a point where on the first turn of that final boss fight, you can just hit X 3 times and just leave it.
Yeah.
But it takes about 25 minutes. You go away, make a sandwich, come back, possibly go outside for a smoke or something, come back, and the fight's still going on.
To get that mechanic to happen, you have to spend 10 hours.
Oh yeah, you have to spend 10 hours grinding. You could just do the fight faster.
But it's worth it.
It's one of those breaking the game to say you can do it kind. It's like speed running.
It is ridiculous. That's what I mean. Like I said, I've got nothing against the narrative. It is a bit simple.
I think the narrative is actually the blandest part of the game.
You can see it coming a mile off.
But for some reason, it's charming.
They're all charming. Even the worst ones are charming.
It's something about it. That's what I mean.
I think the thing is, people glump onto it, like Oodles said, and people glump onto it quite significantly. I think the story in 8 is better. The story in 9 is probably the best of the PlayStation generation. Story at 12 is my favourite.
12's my favourite one. In general. Love 12. 13's the worst. We can all agree on that.
Oh yeah, we can all agree on that. It's a dreadful game.
Unlucky number.
Seventh story is fine.
Yeah, that's it. It's fine, isn't it?
Could be better.
Then you think
it doesn't take much to make it a lot better.
You think of 6. That's a fucking epic.
Actually, I have to have a confession. I've never played 6.
A lot of people haven't, but it's not overly long. It still holds up because it's lovely 16-bit pixel art. It's got an amazing like MIDI soundtrack to it.
I do like a MIDI soundtrack.
Yeah, it's just really... Don't play the Steam version.
The music in 7, don't forget, is quite impactful.
Oh, the music's... I mean, it's Uematsu. He doesn't know how to not make good music. You know what I mean? But yeah...
the man falls down the stairs and makes good music.
He's made an album. But yeah, like I said, I don't dislike the game. In fact, I could almost say I kind of love it, but the hype was just... I was like, this. Do you know what I mean? This is going to destroy the rest of my year, and I finished it in like 2 weeks. How long have you been going, Biggie?
When's its anniversary since it's come
25 years ago?
Yes.
So it's been taking 25 years, yeah? Yeah, you take your time with it, pal. You take your time with it.
Oh, well, no worries, man.
And I just want to say now as well, Cloud's one of the worst protagonists in the series. I
think, he's one of the most under.
Bear in mind, some of them don't even speak. So
I mean, everybody knows Kate Sith's the best.
Obviously.
He's a cat on a Moogle.
Yeah, obviously. And back then, when I first played it, I was all about Vincent. Oh, he's not good. He's not good. Yeah, but then I loved him.
Oh, you just wanted the goth.
Yeah, you can't even control him, for God's sake. Half of the time, he does what he wants.
I just realised going through Nibelheim Castle, and you just go down there and you find a man living in a coffin.
Like, yes,
that's my guy,
my new boyfriend.
I've just realised you guys talking about this stuff is like you haven't listened to me talk about wrestling.
Oh, there you go.
I'm just like, what the fuck are you talking about? No idea any of these characters are. What any
genuinely
of this
though, then this is for you, Stig. Like if
but at least in the game they hit each other.
Yeah, that's true. Well. Not if you're in the back row with the guns. But yeah, Stig, honestly, if you ever just felt the urge to play one, I genuinely wouldn't recommend you to start with 7. Honestly.
I won't ever play one.
I know you won't, but...
I guarantee you I'll never play one. Like, maybe if it's...
I think 10's a good jumping on point. I think 10's a very good jumping on point.
I think also when you look into the kind of the PS1 Final Fantasies, I think Final Fantasy VII has the hardest magic system to get your head around.
It's fucking weird.
Yeah. Like... Loads of people criticised 8 with its junctioning system, which was a little bit shit, but at least it told you how many times you could cast a spell.
And the thing is with Final Fantasy VIII, baddies level up with you. So if you don't level up, they don't.
Yeah.
So you can never make the game too hard.
Yeah, and Final Fantasy IX just went back to what they did with Final Fantasy VI.
Yeah.
And it works.
It works. But in 7, the materia growth system, people didn't know the materia is like a little Tamagotchi in your inventory. You don't even know what's happening. It's just growing ever so slightly without you realising it. It's fucking weird.
And occasionally...
I still can't fully explain it, and I've played it like 5 times.
It's a daft thing. It basically, your magic spells gain experience as you gain experience, and as they level up, you basically get more casts of it during a fight. Sometimes you can only cast it the once.
Yeah.
But then... if you level it up enough, so like, say for instance, like when I play through the game, I like to use a lot of lightning magic because it seems to do the most damage to the most things.
Yeah.
And my thunder materia always ends up about maybe halfway to the second disc. I'll get a message pop up going,
Max.
Thundara has hit max and spawned another one. I'm like, what?
Yeah, it's had a
my
baby.
magic is reproducing.
Yeah.
So then I can give that new materia, which is a base level, to somebody else to start leveling up.
It's such a weird...
And sometimes the material will level up and you're not even using it. And it goes,
that's what I mean.
Just level up.
That's what I mean, Biggie. You're playing it now for the first time. You're like, what's happening in my inventory? What's going off while I'm doing this? All these little magic orbs shagging.
It also suffers from the fact that it was a PS1 game and the internet really wasn't a thing at the time. So like a lot of the kind of it's obtuse, and a lot of the background mechanics. Like I say, that whole thing with me automating the final boss fight, it takes so much effort to put in, but there's nothing in the game that would explain you can do that. You have to understand how the material works.
First time,
just from exploration. Yeah,
it's just from exploration and just from like using and just it's like that. It's like a thing where you look at it and think, am I stupid or would that work?
Yeah.
And you try it and it works.
Yeah.
And you think you're a genius and an idiot at the same time.
But then the internet happens and you're like, oh, everyone did that.
I came from Legend of Zelda on the SNES to that.
That's completely different, man.
I was just kind of like, oh, okay, I'll just play through this game and do
things.
this, follow the quest and hit. And that's how I played it, not knowing.
There's so much in the background now.
It's
ridiculous. Totally. But yeah, like I said, I don't dislike it. I almost love it, but I overhyped it, man. Whoa. So yeah, I think we're on to you now, aren't we, Biggie?
We are. I want to talk about real sport. So
wow. Stig's of sport entertainment is different.
I want to talk about a disappointment in sport. So, football fans, we're a fickle bunch.
This season, we're just going to talk about this season.
Oh, yeah.
I've enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed this season.
The hype.
I'm just going to the pub now.
As Liverpool fans, we must have hyped this season up massively.
Definitely.
Eggs on your face,
guys. You're at loggerheads with rival teams. Families themselves are torn apart by
marriages,
internal derbies. It's a religion for most.
Yeah.
Yet when it comes to the national team, it can unite the country.
It's a good feeling, isn't it, when everyone's on the same
Media,
side?
fans, families, even retail all get caught up in the frenzy.
Non-football
as
fans.
The hopes of a nation fall on the shoulders of those 11 men, or 22 if you really want to get into it. But the biggest issue that I have with this was the Euros 2016.
Oh.
I just don't know what happened. I just don't understand it. The fact that we actually haven't won a tournament as a country since '66 kind of explains the fact that we're still holding on to that. But you look at the weird thing about this tournament itself was just the fact that we qualified so well, but in a not particularly difficult table, shall we say. For those that don't remember, England, Czech Republic, Kosovo, Bulgaria and Montenegro.
Let's have another like that.
We topped the table. We won 7 games out of the 8. We got 21 points. The whole country were behind us. And yet, as the tournament began, we were out by the first stage.
It's shocking, isn't
it? And we were beaten by a team that clapped. It was just something else. In fact, the country is about the size of Croydon in population, and yet, and I think some of the players were part-timers, if I remember.
Some of them were new that year as well.
Just unbelievable. So, for the actual results of that particular part of the tournament, we beat Wales 2-1. We then drew against Slovakia, and then we were knocked out of the tournament by Iceland as we lost 2-1. I just don't understand. For me, I have no passion for international football.
Have you lost it, mate? Is it gone?
I have. I just don't feel like we have any. We have something to prove, and we can't do it.
No,
we have overpaid players that generally don't seem to have that spirit. They play in their clubs. You can see them when they're in their their actual.
Because there's money in the clubs.
In general. But you can sometimes see the passion on the pitch, and yet when you get those 11 again or 22 on the pitch, they cannot play together. And that particular year was when Roy Hodgson was in charge of the team, and he just looked like a defeated little Robin bird.
Little gnome, isn't it?
The best thing about that is that the whole country got to see what Liverpool fans saw. Because when he got kicked out of Liverpool, everyone's like, "Oh, the Roy Hodgson." It's like you treated him like shit. He's not that bad of a manager and everything. He got the England job. He showed how bad he is when it comes to managing people with like proper world class talents. Yeah. And everyone's like, "Oh yeah, actually, he is pretty shit. He's a mid table manager, nothing more." And like the problem is, we as England fans and the media, we hype England up every single time.
We
still believe every single time. The last tournament.
Sorry, did the lightning seed just walk into you?
Yeah, I think so.
Brilliant. We got to the semi-finals. No one expected it.
No.
We got to the semi-finals. We could have got to the finals if a certain Mr. Harry Kane had squared it to Sterling. We'd have gone 2-0 up.
Come on.
But that's another chat. But yeah, we hype it up. The whole country hyped it up. The media hyped it up. You remember South Africa?
Oh.
Right? The headline was easy. Because of the teams we had was something like Estonia, Albania, Slovakia, Yanks. No, England, Slovakia.
Yanks. I like how you say Yanks.
Yeah, because they didn't have anything. It was like, basically they had like it spelling out easy with the teams in there. Yanks. Yeah. We didn't even, I don't even think we got out the knockout, first stage of that. I think we actually went out. And
ridiculous,
that's the thing, we do it every time.
Bottle it, don't they?
And in fact, this particular tournament, can you believe there was no official England song that year either? And the one that was generally used for that.
We always just use Three Lions.
Yeah.
And the one that they used, I'll get Gadget to play this track in. And it's a track which featured, I can't believe this, it was the lead singer from Happy Mondays, Shaun Ryder. It had another guy that I can't even work out who he is.
Probably Bez. He's always
the video features Bez.
Yeah.
It's just atrocious.
I can't even remember this.
It is just, please play that.
Okay, I'll stick a clip in here.
It's We Are England by the Four Lions, it's called, and it's just awful. It's like a rave track. It's like a B track for the Happy Mondays. It was just... Oh.
Wait, hang on a second. They called the group the Four Lions. Was that not a film about terrorists?
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. We never learn. I'm just looking it up now. It was England, Slovenia, Algeria, and USA, and we just qualified by 1 point to the next round.
We didn't go much further, though, did we?
No, and then we got knocked out by Germany 4-1. Although we got screwed.
What by him?
Lampard's goal went over the line. It would have gone to 2. It would have been 2-2 at halftime. It would have been a completely different game. But that's for another chat.
I will say, like the hype that follows around international football when England aren't dragging their arses back on a plane is really funny for me as a non-football fan.
Yeah.
So the 2018 World Cup, which was a big alluded to before, I was living in my nice little comfy flat, just ignoring the world. It was nice summer. I sat on my balcony,
nothing on the telly but football.
Well, I don't have telly.
Yeah.
Whatever I wanted was on there because I had YouTube. But I remember I was sat on the balcony. I was sat reading a book, and I had my coffee, and I was just having a nice Saturday afternoon. And
I'd have been drunk then, probably.
Yeah, well, the England match was on, so, and there was the closest pub to me was about a half a mile down the road, and it was one of the early matches when England were doing well. And I remember just sitting there, just reading my book, just casually as anything, and in the distance I hear,
yes,
like the biggest roar in the world. I'm like, oh, oh, England are doing well then. and about 2 hours later, so this must have been before the quarterfinals, but just as like England were like being shown to be doing really well.
Oh yeah.
When the pub kind of kicked out like later in the evening, again I'm sat on the balcony just chilling in the nice summer air, and I hear about 200 separate people go, "It's coming out, it's coming
boy.
out,
It's such a good feeling though when you're storming down streets.
Do you know the best thing about 2018 was that was the first year in a long time we didn't actually hype the team up. Yeah. Everyone just went, we've got good players, but we're always shit. We'll probably be out by the last 16. Got to the semi-finals. Yeah. Nearly got to the final. It's just like, do you know what I mean? It's like the 1 year. But now we're hyping them up again.
Let's do it. Come on.
Yes.
See, the expectations have been set too high after the last major international
basically. So we're hyping the team up again, saying we've got a good chance now.
So have you done with it then, Biggie? Have you actually done with international football? Are you going to watch it?
Huh?
Are you going to watch it anymore? Have you done with it? Have you washed your hands with it?
I don't watch any of the qualifying stuff.
Wow.
Not me either.
If the tournament's on, I'll watch it.
Wow.
I just don't feel that we have nothing. Sorry, we have something to prove, and we're not as good as people make us out to be at all. And I just think when you look at the talent over the years that we've had, there has to be something completely wrong with our international squad, that a team of that talent cannot play well together. Because every other country has the same problem we have in our Premier League. We have, 50%, maybe 75% of foreign players playing in our league. Is that the issue? No, because every other country has a similar thing.
Of course it's the same.
So
worldwide.
It's not just about homegrown talent.
Yeah.
There is something intrinsically wrong with how our international football is developed, that when they get to the big stages, they cannot play as good as the talent that they have. And you see the Portuguese, the Spain, the French teams, whatever, the Spanish teams, sorry. They're just incredible. And you see them sometimes, and they just demolish the opposition. They're so good. And you see England play, and I'll never forget when Ericsson was in charge, and there was that one particular match near the end of his tenure, and he substituted, I think it was Rooney was coming off, or somebody was coming onto the pitch. And they all just looked at each other, and Rooney was caught on camera going, what the fuck? They didn't even know tactically what they were doing.
Honestly.
And that's kind of what we've been like since. Yeah, it's awful.
2004, 2006, no way will I lie, that the team that we had on paper
could have won it.
It was a team of world-class players.
Yeah, absolutely.
That team is the best, on paper, the best
we were
team
up there
England
with some
have ever
of
had
favourites
since like 96. We were up there, and we just had a shit manager in charge, and he just didn't know what to do, and he just kept playing people out position or not playing people he should have, and it just
I've never Harry Kane taking corners. Why?
No,
why is he taking corners?
I mean, that was the last one. Jesus Christ! But like that,
why?
When Sven was in charge, he was just again hyped.
I'll ring my mate Bielsa up. He'll show England how to win. I think what we need to do, Biggie, is we need to build it back up for you. We'll leave football for now. But I want you to still believe, mate, because the less people that believe, it's gonna be detrimental to us as a country, mate. Come on, and I'm sorry for international listeners.
I'm not making promises.
Couldn't give an absolute flying. Don't
get me wrong. I'm proud
of
my country. I'm proud of where I come from. I'm not proud of my football.
Yeah.
Oh, mate, I'm gonna get you to be manager. I know people. I can get it done. But yeah, we'll move back on to Stig. Are you going to talk about football?
No, I'm not going to talk about football. I'm going to talk about film. You know how I felt like.
There's something for everybody in this podcast.
There is. This has been a good mixture here.
I've had wrestling and football.
We'll talk about dice soon. Don't worry.
Get into it, man. Just get into it. Wrestling is brilliant.
Brilliant.
If you love stupid shit, wrestling's brilliant.
No,
I'm going to talk about film, and I might get a bit of shit for this.
Oh God,
probably.
Paddington 2.
No, God, no. That certainly lived up to the hype. No, I'm talking about a film that came out in 1959, starring Marilyn Monroe, Tony Curtis, and Jack Lemmon.
Oh dear.
Some like it hot.
You don't, clearly.
Nope. Considered an absolute classic, one of the greatest comedies of all time. I was not just did not like this film. I'm in the minority that when it comes to this film, I'm not loving it.
You like Jack Lemmon, though, don't you? In general,
I've not watched a lot of Jack Lemmon films. So the reason why in about 2017, New Year's resolution is I wanted to watch more older films.
Yeah.
So I wanted to go back in to the 1950s, the 40s, even the 20s. Just watch old films that people said, these are classics, these are amazing, you should watch them. Everyone on my letterbox, like friends that I follow, are pretty much 4 or 5 stars on this film.
Yeah.
I'm a 2 out of 5.
Fucking hell.
Why?
You must be the you must be the person that's reviewed it the lowest in the world, in history.
No. There's people that don't like it. But I'll go why. Like, so obviously this film is hyped up. Again, the reason I'm bringing this up is because it's hyped up as being an absolute classic and one of the best comedy films. And I didn't like the humor in it. I hardly laughed. I didn't like any of the characters. I didn't find any of them likable. You have 2 men who are lying, pervy guys who dress up as women. And one of them uses his inside information of Sugar, Marilyn Monroe's character, to get into her pants.
Yeah, it's problematic.
That is his whole purpose in this film, is he's trying to shag Marilyn Monroe. And to do that, he dresses as another woman, pretends to be her friend, to get information so he can pretend to be the Shell Jr., the guy who owns Shell Oil's son, who is also an insufferable cunt. And does not.
That's a pretty good description of him.
We've dropped a C-bomb.
Another one.
He's going to be kicked out of the League of Villains, isn't he?
To get in her pants, and that is his whole purpose of this film.
That is his arc.
It's just a shit character. And put into that is just like, if you put any of these characters into a modern film, people would hate them. It would get absolutely blasted. I do not know why, just because it's an old film that this doesn't get talked about. Marilyn Monroe, her natural beauty, charm, and charisma is, I think, what works for people in this. But as a character, I thought she was dull as fuck, and she was nothing more than just a vapid gold digger. That's all she wanted in this film, was to meet a guy with money. She didn't give a shit who that guy was. Like I said, she's obsessed with Shell Jr., who treats her like shit, who speaks to her like shit, because he's got money. That is all she wants. Like, none of these characters are good, and around it, nothing made me laugh. The whole film, the whole gangster side of the film is really weird. It doesn't feel like it fits in this film at all. It's like you've got this really serious start where 2 men witness a murder, then all these weird hijinks where they dress up as women, and then the gangsters show up again, and it gets all serious again, and there's no payoff at the end. When she finds out the truth, it's all rushed, and she just kind of forgives him because, and I quote, she says, "She's not very bright."
Yeah.
What? Why is that funny? It is not funny.
Different time period, but I'm not defending it in that way. Don't get me wrong.
No, I've watched all films that I've found funny.
Yeah,
but I just don't find any of this funny. I don't find the characters likable. I don't find the situation endearing. The best thing in this film is the last line of the film, and that's been overplayed to fuck, so I knew that line anywhere.
You want to say it?
Nobody's perfect.
There you go. But I think
I haven't seen it. I must admit.
It had a troubled production. It went over budget and stuff like everyone knows that. But it's one of those that I got overhyped, and I never come away from it thinking, "Oh, it's one of the best films I've ever seen." It's not. It's like a 4 out of 5 for me. I liked it. Maybe other people's opinions skewed me towards liking it more. You know, sometimes that can happen, can't it? You're like, I like it because people like it, kind of thing. I haven't seen it in about 10 years, so maybe my taste has changed as well. But I like it. So, yeah, brilliant. So we'll move on to Gadget.
Okay, so I want to tell you a story of lies. Sweet little lies.
Oh, my word.
We go back to E3, because I'm back on the video games. This is a video game heavy episode for me. We're going back to E3 2018, the Bethesda stage.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
People are already pausing this podcast and screaming into the void.
Wonderful stage set. They talked about the new version, new Rage game that was going to come out. They had Andrew WK on stage, which a lot of people were very confused about his presence there.
Yeah, I get wet.
Yeah. You had, DLC for Prey. People were very happy about this one. And then the man himself, Todd Howard, all 5 foot nothing of him.
Isn't it Sir Todd Howard?
Walks out on stage, his fancy leather jacket and his fancy shoes, his perfectly curly hair.
You mean his dad jeans?
And his dad jeans as well. They were in the middle of the fancy leather coat and the fancy shoes.
Yeah, that's it.
And he comes up on stage and he talks about, Elder Scrolls Online. He talks about a lot of the other things that Bethesda have in the works.
Do you remember when he was doing it and everything he said, everyone went,
yeah.
That's E3 for
Elder Scrolls Online.
Everybody cheered every single word that he said. And then he talked about what was next for the Fallout franchise, because at this point it had been 3 and a bit years since Fallout 4 had come out, a game I enjoyed.
Gadget was lapping it all up going, feed me, Todd.
Basically, yeah, some people enjoyed it, some people didn't. But it was still a very well-received game, sold by the absolute arse load, and it was inevitable they were going to do another Fallout game. And so we're sat there going, ooh, Fallout 5, ooh, let's get ready for this one, it's going to be a good one, this.
Yeah, exactly what I was
like. And he talks about, where do we take the Fallout franchise next? Well,
Space.
No, we're taking it online. And
what?
Oh? And they announced Fallout 76 with the premise of you leave the vault 200 years after the bombs have dropped. You leave Vault 76 in West Virginia, and you are the first people to start recolonizing this world. It was at that conference that Todd Howard talked about the mechanics behind making an online Fallout game, because Bethesda games are notoriously janky. In fact, it's less of a bug; it's a feature with them.
Some would say all the characters are ice skaters.
Yes, and Todd, on stage in front of the world's press, said, "It just works."
What? Todd doesn't even know what he's talking about.
And dear listener, it did not work.
No.
In fact, Todd, enjoying the fact that Bethesda has this reputation for buggy games, he announced that they would do a beta test called I think it was called the Break It Early Test Application, in the keeping with the Fallout vernacular in its kind of visuals, 50s visual style.
Vault Boy going, yeah.
Yeah. I signed up for the beta. I thought, well, you know what? I was excited by the idea of it because I love Fallout, and I thought, it's a game I can play by myself still, but with other players in the world.
What could go wrong?
What happened was, on the night that the beta was going live, I sat at my PC. I sat with the Bethesda launcher open, the game pre-downloaded. Yeah. 2 minutes to midnight. It was actually midnight. I was going to start playing. It was 2 minutes to midnight in an Iron Maiden fashion. I was sat there waiting for it, and then I saw downloading. I thought, oh, there's like a little patch to like enable it or something like that. As a lot of these betas have, it's like a 2 megabyte patch that says, yes, you're good to play. It said 45 gigs.
Oh.
Somehow, Bethesda's own launcher was so buggy that it deleted the game and re-downloaded it.
Oh, Todd.
For nearly everyone. It wasn't an isolated bug. There were thousands of people. And of course, thousands of people were glomping onto the Bethesda servers to download it again, causing it to slow right the fuck down. A myriad of other things went wrong. I mean, in the beta... Shut up, Siri.
It's Todd who's trying to get to
Todd's coming for
listening.
Gadget, we need to have a chat.
I mean, in the
leave
beta,
that in, please.
I will leave that. When you do the beta testing of things, like obviously there are going to be bugs. I remember walking through this kind of area in Grafton where there's a river. I think it's in Grafton where there's a river, and the river texture not being there. Like I could see, I could stand on the riverbank and see under the world. It was that buggy, and so they said, "Okay, yeah, we know the bugs. The game comes out in 2 months." And so I was like, "Is that really enough time to fix all this?" It wasn't. No, friend, it wasn't. The game was released in an absolute state. People with like really high-powered PCs couldn't achieve a frame rate above 20 frames a second. The game characters would just fall through the world. It was impossible to matchmake on lobbies.
There was that lovely bug that I saw where people spent ages on the character creation, and it just came out as the default one as soon as you clicked accept. Everyone's default.
Yeah, there was progress getting deleted. But the biggest problem with the game was conceptual. Because the idea was that, like I say, it was just you were in a vault when the bombs dropped. 200 years later, your character emerges, and you have to repopulate West Virginia. Great. Problem is, with repopulating, there's no fucker there.
No one there. There's just robots.
But in the advertising, Todd Howard's like, "Hey, it's 16 times the size of Fallout 4's map." It is, and there's fuck all in it.
It's empty.
It's just nothing there. It's this beautifully rendered version of the West Virginia countryside. And don't get me wrong, when it runs, the game is gorgeous. Like there are some really wonderful things that you can see in that game. But there's nothing. There was no NPCs. There was nothing to do. The quest lines were all just given to you by fucking robots. And there weren't even quest lines. It was just go here and collect this. Go here and collect that. Hey, there's a big monster over there. Oh, it's flattened me because it's 14 levels higher than I am. And it was just the most mind-numbing, annoying thing in the world. There was so much bad feedback. it broke Bethesda's ticketing service because, along with many other things, there was the collector's edition. Everyone loves the collector's edition stuff.
I'm going to say, it wasn't all bad. They all got those lovely bags, didn't they?
Well, no, they didn't.
They
didn't get their canvas bags because if you bought the £100 Power Armor edition, which gave you a nice big Brotherhood of Steel Power Armor helmet, and it comes in this wonderful canvas bag that's heavy duty to protect it, and everyone was mint. No, what everyone got was some fucking polythene thing that they bought in Sports Direct.
You can't have a cigarette while wearing that bag because you're going up in flames.
It's like a nylon tracksuit bag.
Yeah, it's like made of a shell suit or something like that.
Like a Mizuno tracksuit top.
So Bethesda said, okay, we'll. Eventually, they got to the point where they said, okay, we will sort it out. Log a support ticket. Fine. People went onto the Bethesda website, logged a support ticket. The support site was so broken, it exposed their personal details to the internet. Everything that's happened. It feels like when Todd stood up on stage and says, it just works. There was this butterfly effect of bullshit, just this constant wave. And the worst thing is they kind of still haven't fixed it, but they have managed to put in a paid-for monthly season event. Yay. You can pay a tenner a month for some digital bullshit in this game that doesn't work still. They put in the Wastelanders content, which was like this big expansion which added NPCs to the world. I went back to play it. I thought, hey, it might be interesting now. No, because they wrote the story on the back of a cigarette packet in the pub. There's nothing to it. The characters are shite. I mean, Fallout's not known for having the most wonderful characters in the world, but at least like...
Ooh, I'm going to jump in
Liam
there.
Neeson, I'm one of them.
I fell in love with Fallout 3. I played the shit out of it.
I love Fallout 3.
All DLC. I was a bit disappointed before, but I was like you. I remember this being traded, and warning bells went off straight in my head. As soon as he said online, I thought, that is not what Fallout is about. For me, it's about a little journey you take as a player in a single-player game in this beautiful world that is janky and all that. But at least it's atmospheric. Yeah. But I thought, online, what are you doing?
It's my most hated word in the world.
I think the thing is, no one expected it to, but it worked for the Elder Scrolls Online. But that universe suits better being an MMO.
It didn't work straight away, though, did it?
Oh, no, it was a broken mess to start with, but it got to a point where it's functional and entertaining, and lots of people enjoy it.
Nowadays.
Yeah. And I think that, it probably wasn't Todd's idea. I think it might have been the ZeniMax parent company that went... We've sold this for Elder Scrolls. Can we sell it again for Fallout? And Todd Howard went, I can do it, and he fucking couldn't. So yes, Todd Howard. I know that.
I know he listens to this show as well, so he's going to be sat there going, "Oh."
Yes, I know he listens to the show, and I know
what did I do?
And I know Candy Machine, who's joining us for the D&D podcast that's coming out. She will stab me in the face for this one.
She's sharpening her knives.
She's sharpening her knives because she adores Todd Howard and his filthy little eyes. But that's my Fallout 76. Because the thing is, I actually was kind of excited for the game. I thought it was a really interesting.
You believed him.
I believed in Todd's little eyes. He lied directly to my face.
I remember one broke my story from it. I read this on IGN a few years after, and they were going through some of the Bethesda official forum threads and stuff like that, and people saying, you know, it's the Andrew WK curse. You know this. Have you ever heard about the Andrew WK curse? When he's been involved in certain things, it ruins it. Like, it's not his fault.
I was going to say, he was there for Rage 2. He wasn't there for Fallout.
That's what I said. I was like, what?
That's how I just sit every now and again. He just wakes up in the night, just goes, fucking Andrew WK.
Yeah, you ruined it. Why did we have that presentation?
Well,
the only thing I liked about the trailer was the West Virginia side. The way that
they now it's in my head.
Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads.
Country Road.
The way they sold that, it just looked really good because it was interesting. That was the only thing I thought. If they pull it off, then yes, I will eat my hat.
I think that they spent more on the advertising campaign than they did on the online functionality of the game. If I'm perfectly honest,
I think it's a massive shame. Genuinely,
I think that's the hardest thing. I mean, I know I'm being funny and ranting about Todd Howard and his filthy little lies.
It's not him, is it? Really?
No, it's not him. I think conceptually the game is good. There is a really good idea in there, but it's been so woefully
mismanaged. It's NPCs now.
Yeah, but like I say, they're not good because they were rushed out in the space of a year after the game coming out because everyone kicked off about there being nothing to do.
Copy and paste them into the world.
Yeah, I think had the game been released a year later and they had that content in there from the start, I think it would have been a much better game and a much more stable one, and one I would have enjoyed a lot more.
I don't think they'll risk this again for the franchise. I think the next Fallout is going to be a lovely little single player thing, and I think we're going to enjoy it. Genuinely,
yeah, I'm kind of.
As long as the character's not ice skating, because it genuinely
to get rid of those fucking green menus.
Yeah,
oh yeah.
I'm kind of hoping now that Microsoft own Bethesda and they own Obsidian, we're going to get New Vegas too.
That'd be lovely.
I'll forgive Todd for all of his transgressions if he can make that happen.
Outer Worlds were good.
Yeah, Outer Worlds was better than 76.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I know it's not the same people, but it's Obsidian, isn't it?
Yeah,
and that were good. And you don't need a huge budget. You just need a game that works. That's what it boils down to.
It's really bad that in 2021 all we ask for is a game that doesn't break.
I know it sounds wanky us sat here. We don't make games, but it's if you have a bad sandwich, you're allowed to complain how bad that sandwich was. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things. But we'll move on from that because Gadget is seething. He's furious. We're going to move on to mine. Hold on. Here we go, guys. Get ready.
You told us to get ready for the last one, and we weren't prepared.
You weren't prepared. This one...
I agreed with the last one.
This one is the TV show Friends. Now, everyone knows my history with Friends. As I said on the I've not watched it. And I was planning...
How can you comment on it then if you've not watched it?
Listen.
It makes no sense.
No. Last time, I said I'd not watch it. This week, I have watched season 1 of Friends.
Did you watch Friends in preparation for the hype discussion?
Yep.
So does that mean you went into it with your opinion coloured slightly because you thought the hype won't deliver?
I don't know. So...
And the first season is probably not the best either. They're still getting into
I understand that. So, rather than...
Just want to rag on Friends, didn't he?
I didn't like it. Let's just say I didn't like it. So,
at this point, he's my foe.
I didn't dislike everything. So, rather than add my favourite episodes, because some episodes I had a bit of a belly laugh. That surprised me. Like, you know what I mean? That's about as hysterical as I got. But yeah, rather than reviewing individual episodes, I'm reviewing individual friends, the people.
Okay.
They're all horrible people.
I've got little notes. So the first person I'm reviewing is someone called Ross. The note I've put is dull, boring, and has a creepy relationship to his sister that's almost romantic.
That's about right, yeah.
That worried me.
Well, yeah, you haven't even got to the later series with that then.
There's a character called Phoebe, and I've put, is she clever or is she just daft? I can't tell.
Will you ever find that out?
I think she's smarter than she's letting on so far. I've got one, Joey. Obviously, I know who he is from the spin-off Joey.
Which was your infinitely preferred programme.
I've put harmless and the comedy relief. Genuinely nothing against him. I didn't dislike him.
Good call.
I didn't dislike him at all.
Happy with that.
The next one I've put, because I couldn't remember her name, I put Ross's sister.
Monica.
Courtney Cox. I know the actress. Has she shagged Ross before the show started and nobody mentions it? / dull. Has she shagged Ross? You can spoil it for me.
No.
Well, no.
Okay.
The sister.
The sister and
brother.
brother.
There's something there, mate.
No,
something a bit porn-up about that, I'm telling you now.
There is a moment.
See?
Something happened. Something happened at one point.
Next one, Rachel.
It was by accident.
By accident.
Yeah.
By accident? Oh, no. Got stuck in the washing machine, that kind of accident. No? No, never mind.
Stuck in a pile of coats, maybe.
The next one, Rachel. Genuinely the best character in it, for me. Starts off as just a humble person and is the only person with an arc in the first season.
Humble? What show did you watch?
Friends, it's called Friends. She was quite humble at the beginning.
No, she wasn't. She was running away from a wedding.
She's so self-centered.
I liked Rachel.
Everything about herself.
She literally goes to Monica, asks her to live with her. She didn't even invite Monica to a wedding,
despite being such
best
a Ross.
friends. Despite being best friends with her up to like the point they were like 20. Humble, Rachel.
Yeah.
Fuck me.
I think, were you watching this when you'd had a bottle of apple cider?
It was just last night you were watching this.
I did watch the final 2 episodes this morning. The next one,
wow. Carry on.
It's actually auto-corrected to chandelier, and that's how it's staying. The worst character.
That's the episode title.
The worst character, unfunny, and tries to diffuse situations by pulling funny faces and quips. Can he be any more of a prick? I've seen Friends now, guys. He's overhyped.
I think you
shit.
have.
Bored. Crap. I won't watch another season. Done. That's me. Biggie.
Done.
Moving on to you. Unless anyone's got anything to add on that.
I think he was going to come in and talk about. I thought he was going to do It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh, I was prepared for that.
I don't dislike that at all.
So the thing is with Friends is a show that in 2021 is not a good watch. It's not. It's very un-PC.
Rachel's brilliant.
It's wildly offensive to a lot of things. It's very fat-phobic. It's very homophobic at times. It can be incredibly wrong, I think is the best way to put it. It puts itself on the wrong side of society in a lot of places. The thing is, your assessments of the characters from the first season are really funny because it all gets kind of upended as it goes. Like, as the seasons go on, Ross gets very interesting, then he gets incredibly annoying.
Oh, really?
Joey gets progressively more dickheadishness.
He's so harmless in the first season.
Oh, no, he is terrible by the end.
Is he?
Yeah.
He's barely... I thought he were a side character for a long time. He's barely in it.
No. He's very funny at one point where just everything he does, he just gets the wrong end of. He's thick as shit, but in the right way. It's just very funny.
Yeah, but there's some of the stuff that he pulls, like, is especially his treatment of women. He is awful to women.
Is it?
Really bad.
Chandelier's not very good.
No, to be honest, actually, Chandler becomes the most sympathetic character in it because.
Oh, does he?
When you actually find out his backstory and you realize why he's the way he is.
Ah,
yeah.
For his insecurities type thing.
Sort of, he has a very damaging childhood.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh.
Some of his quips are very subtle. Sometimes
they're not in season 1.
No, but they get better.
The best thing that I ever read about Friends was that there is a theory in because I did media studies as an A level. There's a theory among like kind of TV critics and media people that Friends exists only as a vehicle for advertising.
All right, yeah.
Because as you go on, so like for instance, like Rachel gets a job in the second season at Bloomingdale's, big department
the real
store.
My mum calls it Bloomies.
Yeah, and fuck off.
She's so humble.
No, as the season goes on, she then gets a job at Ralph Lauren.
Really,
Ralph Lauren or whatever, however you pronounce it. There is one of Chandler's side gags where so the actress who plays Phoebe at one point gets pregnant and they have to write in her being pregnant into the story. Fair enough, it happens to a lot of actresses. And the story that she writes in is that she becomes a surrogate mother for her brother because her brother's wife can't have children.
Oh right, yeah.
So she carries.
It's not incest.
Yeah, it's not incest.
Child.
Yeah, not the way you're thinking.
I'm just like, have I predicted the whole arc?
No, but so that's how it's written around the actress being pregnant. And in the episodes where she's kind of like discussing like what she's going to do, she says, "I could give my brother Frank the greatest gift in the world." And Chandler's response was, "So wait, you're going to give them a baby and a Sony PlayStation?"
Oh,
that's the exact dialogue for it.
No.
It's so bad.
With Gran Turismo?
Yeah. Yeah. The Friends is such a weird watch now. If you were to watch it, like the thing is, it made a lot of it broke a lot of ground for the idea of sitcoms in that fashion because a lot of sitcoms
too much canned laughter, more than any sitcom I've ever watched.
It's live audience.
Yeah, it's a live audience. Yeah,
I thought you were canned.
In the 90s, kind of in America, you had the two big sitcoms, which were Seinfeld and and Friends. And they both kind of plumbed different directions in it, where Friends was quite gentle humor, a little bit risque from time to time, but it was very gentle humor.
You can have it on in the afternoon, can't you? It's not...
Whereas Seinfeld went the more surreal, in the more surrealist humor, and having weirder and weirder characters and weirder situations. And I'm not quite sure the point I'm trying to make here, but I think the problem is Friends doesn't work now. And
so I'll skip Friends and go to Joey then, yeah?
No.
It's even worse.
I think if we didn't have Friends, we wouldn't have The Big Bang Theory, and I think that's its greatest crime.
Right.
It's pure existence made for the existence of The Big Bang Theory.
Oh, wow. So I'm all right to just never watch any more of it, yeah?
No, I mean...
I'll be fine, I'll be fine.
Yeah, it's you're not really missing out. Like, you've experienced it. Like I say, all you would be watching for is the references that people constantly put out on the internet.
Yeah, it's a sitcom of its time.
Yeah,
I loved it. I really enjoyed it.
That.
I've watched it several times. But now, yes, it has dated. But there's some great moments in it.
But I think my reviews are spot on. The individual Friends. So don't argue with me, and we'll move on to Biggie.
So yeah, I just wanted to talk about one game that was pretty hyped up, but I don't know if the media were completely behind this. I think the fans were behind the hype. And that's Mass Effect Andromeda.
Oh, wow.
I have mentioned this game, I think, before on the pod, so I don't want to talk too much about it. But it's just the fact that you had arguably 3 great games beforehand. I think one was a slightly different format to how the other 2 came out. So it obviously evolved as it went. But I loved playing 1. I loved playing 2. I thought it was excellent. 3 really enjoyed. Ending was that little bit.
The ending's not the worst thing about 3, trust me.
But yeah, a lot of people are looking forward to this. But not helpfully, it got handed out to a completely new team. And then during development, people left. The game finally came out. They tried to do a different way of mechanics in the game. Some of it works, some of it doesn't. It was more open-ended game world, which kind of worked in some respects. The thing that was missing for me in this particular game was the fact that you have, as you go through the story, what was very similar to the previous Mass Effect games was that you build up your team, as you want to call it, your squad, and you get these interesting side characters that almost make their side stories more important than the main quest because it's interesting. You want to help these people, and their characters come with a story. The acting is generally top.
It felt more like a Star Trek, didn't it?
Yeah, and it's missing from this. All the characters pretty much throughout the whole game, none of them are interesting. I couldn't tell you who any of them were without having to research it. There's just nothing sticks in my mind. The enemy aren't interesting. And as soon as you start playing with the mechanics of building your weapons, your gear up, you end up becoming so overpowered that all the battles
on the
game,
first planet,
it's easy. It's just such a simple game to play. But I love it because it was a game that I played when my daughter was born, and it was one of those weird things that I played that was easy with her in the room, or I was holding her in my arm. I could play it one-handed, and it was just a go through the motions game. I wouldn't really recommend it to anybody, but it's an okay game.
Mechanically, it's sound.
Yeah, I mean, it's but
now
it's
they
just
fixed
not.
it.
Well, when it came out, best thing about it was the
faces.
The faces.
It became famous for the glitches. The bugs were just something else.
Yeah, I thought my main character was an alien for ages.
Yeah, like Fallout 76 was the same problem. It was glitched. It was bad. And
Andromeda weren't that
bad. No, but it certainly had its moments. Yeah. But no, I mean, I enjoyed it. It was okay. But I think the fact was that it had the tag, the name. Everybody was expecting so much from this. And the fact that the trilogy coming out as remastered now just goes to show you the impact of that original game. I just think this game was poor, couldn't live up to the expectations that everybody had for it. And as you say, on its own, it's an okay game. It's playable. I
don't dislike it. I think it's like a solid 6 out of 10.
But it couldn't reach the heights.
Mass Effect Andromeda suffered because EA took the primary Mass Effect team from BioWare and they put them on Anthem, so it was all worth it.
I mean, Andromeda does play like a proto Anthem with the jetpack and stuff. It does, kinda. Yeah. A lot of the buttons are the same buttons as well. And as we all know, Anthem was an absolute success, a roaring success. So we've got egg on his face now, haven't we? we're in the darkest timeline now, guys.
We really are.
But I really hope they do another Mass Effect. They give it some.
Yeah, they will. I don't think the
off,
series
perhaps.
is
Who
dead,
knows?
especially with the money they'll get from this remaster. I think it will live on, and we'll forget all about it. It's not Kingdom of the Crystal Skulls bad. It's just not good. That's it, isn't it? It's just there. It's just there. But yeah, from that, I think we've covered everyone, haven't we?
Yeah.
I think we've got a really bulging
Oh,
mail
yes.
sack. We can all just relax now and let Gadget narrate these incredible
One of
moments
those weeks that I'm
feedback.
glad we don't
Swap roles.
swap roles anymore.
So stick around for the next hour because Gadget's got some feedback.
No one told me that it was essay writing week.
People love hype. People love it.
I feel like I'm an English teacher right now. Let's get started. Terrestrial Extra has emailed in saying the Harry Potter hype train express that departed from platform 9 3/4 in 1997. It was everywhere, but I was far too cool at the time to read children's books. As the train rolled on, you saw people reading it everywhere on the bus, the tube. It was all over the media. Then came the movies. I was still far too cool to watch these children's movies, but the train kept rolling. Eventually, I grew up and realized that I had never actually been cool at any point in my life, and my first encounter with the franchise was Deathly Hallows Part 1.
Oh, wow.
It was okay, so I decided to start with film 1, because that's what you do. You watch the second to last in a series, then go to the beginning.
I like to do things like that. That's fine.
Yeah.
You like to read the back of the book.
I'm all for that.
So the first Harry Potter film had a good fish out of water concept, but it wasn't particularly well executed. Film 2, god-awful. They got better from there, and I understand the appeal, but they're not great movies. I did like the wizardy battles towards the end, though. So I went back to the books, and I was bored very quickly, and I couldn't make it through book 2. I suppose they were not written for a now not cool adult, but I saw many adults frantically enthralled with them at the time.
They even made like
To each their
adult
own, but
versions
not for
of
me.
the books.
I suppose the point is the hype. Worldwide, and in my opinion, way overhyped. Did any of you read all the books? Did they improve as the films did? Maybe it was just
Very
the wrong
quickly.
time and place for me.
I haven't
Sting
seen
read them.
or read
I've read them
anything
twice.
to do with Harry Potter.
Listen to the audiobooks.
Stephen
the
Fry,
films.
isn't it?
Yeah.
He knows how to read a book.
The books are miles better than the films. Books are always better than the films.
I read
Right,
I read the first book when it came out, and as a child, I didn't enjoy it.
Was
And
it
I
a big
watched-
book, the first one?
No, I
I
won't.
imagine. I can't remember it being massive.
It was like 300 pages, if that.
One of them was like massive, wasn't it? Like a big,
Was it
big
Half
wad
Blood
of
Prince
book.
or something? Was like you could kill a yak with
Like
it?
the yellow
The
pages.
fifth book. Yeah, the Order of the Phoenix is massive and way too bloated.
Yeah.
Is it? Oh, fuck that.
Yeah, I watched the films as an adult, and I thought,
I like number
they're
3
alright.
best out of the films.
Yeah.
I don't remember
Yeah,
enough
number
of them.
three's.
Number 3 is the time
Best.
one, the time traveling one.
I watched them all kind of in a reasonably kind of back-to-back fashion, so they kind of all bled into each other.
Yeah.
It's not wrong, but the second film is the worst film.
Which
Worst
one's the
book.
second one with these spiders and stuff?
Chamber of Secrets.
Ugh, fuck that.
Okay, moving on to a short one this time. Futile Exercise said, I heard all the hype for the Blair Witch Project, so was totally underwhelmed when I finally went to watch it. Agreed.
I like that.
No,
one.
mate. There's nothing scary about it. It's just a woman in the camera going, I'm so scared. I'm so
There's
scared.
two things
There's
that I
nothing in
find
it.
effective is that it came out of a time where
People thought it were
there
real.
wasn't internet like there is now,
Yeah.
so it's easy to trick people,
Mm.
and you've not
Yep.
seen anything like that before. And I still, it's not a great film, but I do find those found footage ones quite uneven, like unnerving because it looks real.
But look
Yeah,
how
it's not
Rec did it way better.
Yeah,
Yeah, I totally agree. But the best way to watch that is to get the DVD or Blu-ray, whatever, and watch the little documentary story about the lore behind Blair Witch first. Then watch the
I like
movie.
I also
the
like
lore sets
the
up
mini
that movie
documentary
so well.
about how Hollywood had
It's a fake
to
documentary.
bring the actors out and say, look, they're not dead. These people are still alive. They're actors. I enjoyed that.
then
My
watch
wife fell for that.
Blair Witch 2.
I've never seen it.
No, I don't watch Blair Witch 2. It's
Oh.
horrendous.
No.
It's not even found
Is that the
footage
Book
one.
of Shadows one or something like that?
It's like fans or something like of the film.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's horrible.
No, I got my wife to watch the Blair Witch, know nothing about it, and I left it for about 45 minutes. She was a little bit disturbed. And
Best
I
way
told
to
her
watch
was
it
a
is
fake movie.
in the back garden in a tent with a torch, snotty nose.
I mean, it could be worse. You could be playing the game.
Hey, it's not that bad.
It's very bad. So, friend of the show and enemy of Oodles, Monk's Boy, has written in. He says, The Order 1886, so much potential. Hard agree.
Oh, God, yeah, so much hype.
That game was so hyped. And
it's still gorgeous looking today, though.
Oh, yeah, it's absolutely beautiful game. One of the best looking games made on the PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
And like early on in its cycle as well, it was nearly photorealistic in places. The problem was the game was 5 hours long, and you played
5 hours, mate. I did it in 2.
It took me my playthrough. It took me 5 hours to play through it, and I played the game for about 40 of those minutes.
Oh
it's so much cutscene.
Was this one of the games that hyped the PS4 to begin with?
Yeah,
it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, and like I said, it was a graphically beautiful game. It was back to that Van Helsing thing. It was like werewolves in London.
Yeah, not horror, but gothic fantasy.
Yeah, gothic fantasy.
I'm coining it.
Nikola Tesla was in it, building your weapons.
Yeah.
He was the cue to your James Bond.
It was a bit like Victorian Kingsman, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it had some really cool ideas. And like the bits of game that you got to play were really good. Like there's a great boss fight against a Lycan in a line. Absolutely brilliant sequence.
Yeah.
And they just fucked it because there was so much cutscene in it.
And it ends on a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
How's that game not been free yet?
It has been.
It's been out.
It's been on PS Plus.
No, it hasn't. Not for PlayStation Plus. It hasn't.
No, because I've got I just downloaded.
It's been cheap though, hasn't it?
It's been very cheap. Yeah,
it has.
I remember there's 14 chapters in the game, and I remember at a point when I was playing through it, I went through 3 chapters without pressing a single button.
Yeah, I think the last chapter is all dialogue, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, 14 chapters in a 5-hour game.
Because they're not very long.
They're not very long at all.
The first chapter is 5 minutes long. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those.
Oh, it's absolutely...
Was it directed by Kojima?
No. Is it Ready at Dawn that did this?
Yeah, who are now just doing VR games, I think.
Yeah. But you can see why they went to that, because it is quite a...
It's a technology studio.
Yeah, it's a tech demo.
Yeah, they're basically the modern equivalent of whatever goes on in John Carmack's head.
Yeah.
They just create incredible technology but don't know how to put it into a game. So Tig has popped up with a controversial opinion following last week, saying he would like to nominate Breaking Bad as an overrated show. It's not to say it isn't a good show. It most definitely is. But I was sold a story likened to Michael Corleone of The Godfather, my favourite series of movies. The emergence and story of a criminal kingpin. Breaking Bad had its own story, and while not perfect, it's genuinely great at times. But Walt is no Michael. He is no leader of men. He is selfish and cruel without the grand strategy of The Godfather. Jesse Pinkman was the true hero of that story, and his humanity, contrasting against the wastrel of the early episodes, is what really makes that show. I would also like to mention the following. The personal history of David Copperfield. I adore Armando Iannucci, but that was dull, even with a stellar cast. Cyberpunk 2077, no game could live up to that hype. Fallout 4, Dullsville. I played all of it.
I gave up on Fallout 4.
I finished Fallout 4 last year. I started it when it first came out, and I just was like, wow.
Yeah, I agree. I think I heard a lot of good praise about David Copperfield as well.
Yeah, I did.
I've not watched it yet, but yeah.
Probably don't need to now.
Yeah, certainly critically it got a lot of good praise.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with what Tig's saying about Breaking Bad. I love Breaking Bad. I think it's a great show. But I also watched Breaking Bad years after it had finished.
Yeah, we were saying that last week, weren't we?
Yeah.
Where we're all there going, yeah, you can't deny this is a good show. But I didn't watch it. I was a bit underwhelmed. Underwhelmed's too strong a word.
Yeah, no, I wasn't underwhelmed with it. I think the problem was, I think if I'd watched it as it aired and had that week between each episode and you build that hype up in your own head.
You're in there, aren't you?
I think I probably would have gotten on the hype train there. But after seeing it afterwards, it's a great show. Yeah. But it's not what people said it was.
I discovered it on Netflix when it had first been put on there.
I was at the first big
and
Netflix
I fell in.
thing.
It's no Better Call Saul, is it, guys?
I thought it was so good.
No. I love Breaking Bad, but I think Better Call Saul is great.
X-Ben Blaster X says this whole episode could be about Cyberpunk.
I've never played it.
However, Duke Nukem Forever, 15 years in the make, and what an absolute car crash that game was. It was very, very clear in the intervening 15 years between Duke Nukem 3D and Forever that Duke had aged very badly.
Shake it, baby.
It's a game none of us needed. Keep it in the past. Yeah, but you know what? If Randy Pitchford can put something awful out in the world, Randy Pitchford will put something awful out in the world.
remember on Duke Nukem 3, give me a Jack and Coke any day. All the time, every time you put a health pack on or something. Oh, God. I don't really like Duke Nukem 3D. I prefer Doom.
The thing is, if you go back and look at Duke Nukem 3D now, it's just like you can see it was obviously made by a bunch of 20-year-olds. It's like, hey, let's make the police pigs. And it's just like,
he did all all of his quotes are from other films. It's like, I'm all out of gun, that one. Fucking, oh, God.
Hail to the king, baby.
Yeah, groovy.
Yeah, it's ripped off of Evil Dead, of They Live.
There's nothing original in Duke Nukem, is there?
No.
I never understood the hype for Forever. I know it took so long and everyone's like, here we go. I never understood it. And there's a little RC level, isn't there, where you're in a little car?
Like, I think the daft thing about Duke Nukem Forever is the DLC that it got was the best bit of the game. Like, it's actually genuinely a really good set of levels.
Yeah.
But the base game itself is a trash fire.
I think the hype was just the fact that 3D was massive.
Oh yeah,
like,
you can't
zeitgeisty, and it was like, oh yeah, the next game, it's going to be amazing, and then they just never did it. And then by the time they did it, it was like, fuck is this?
I think the other thing as well is like the game was obviously it was built several times over, but the mechanics they put in would have been great in 2000. Yeah. Like if Duke Nukem Forever came out as it is now in the year 2000, people would hail it as better than Half-Life, you know. But it's because it was revolutionary compared to 1996. The problem is it wasn't revolutionary compared to 2011 when it came out.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
The fact that his character's been reduced to an add-on in Bulletstorm.
Yeah.
And he's not even the best character in it.
Although to be fair, I'm pretty sure that any game that starts with your main character talking shit to a pair of twin strippers that are giving him a blowjob is probably not a good way to start a game.
Agreed.
Hang on, I'm just trying to see where I can buy it.
You probably get it on GOG, mate, for cheap.
Leroy Francisco's come in, said Brexit. And that's all we're saying on it.
A lot of hype, weren't there? A lot of hype. But we're not allowed to discuss it.
No. Seriously, though, the Matrix sequels were bad. Also, Star Wars Episode 9. I don't mind Episode 8, but Episode 9 was a load of nonsense that threw Episode 8 under the bus. And I agree with that, because I really like Episode 8. I know a lot of people don't. But Episode 9 ruins it. Episode 9 makes Episode 8 worse in comparison because it just undoes so much because Disney. Like, if the threads that were started in Star Wars Episode 8 were allowed to continue and be finished off properly in Episode 9, I think people would look at The Last Jedi much better.
I mean, Star Wars should have just been the original first three films.
The last three, the hype they failed to deliver on the hype.
I mean,
coming back with the new Star Wars. Oh, we've got a new trilogy. Massive.
Yeah. Like
the news of it's huge. Everyone's amazing, and they didn't deliver on it at all across the whole trilogy. Even though I enjoyed parts of it, the trilogy itself is just a mess.
It didn't help that Episode 7 was just a remake of the first film.
Yeah, it is.
Like nearly beat for beat.
At least remake Empire.
Yeah, exactly. Nimrod Hicks says, "Dear more or less enjoyable." He's at it again.
What? This needs to stop.
My hype train offering this time, I solemnly promised myself I wouldn't buy No Man's Sky. Then ended up grabbing it day one from the supermarket. Played for about 2 hours, and it never saw the light of day again.
Oh no.
Also, every build-up to a major international footy tournament, every single time I get it with, this time it'll be different. Look at the quality of our side. Until the inevitable failure. However, we got to the semis last time and have improved under Gareth Southgate, so you never know, it could be different.
I love it when Gadget says these type of words. He's not into football, but when he starts talking football because he's reading something, it's so impressive.
Well, the thing is, I'm reading it out loud, but in my head, there was just a clown with a box going.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
my favourite thing about No Man's Sky ever is the Jurassic Park piss take.
Oh God! Yeah, that little music that they play. Please insert it.
Just look up No Man's Sky Jurassic Park.
It's so funny.
It's so good.
The most fucked up thing is No Man's Sky now is brilliant.
It's a great game.
It's too late.
Yeah.
As was the memes that I brought out several episodes ago. We need the Gordon Ramsay. It's fucking raw. We needed more time in the oven.
It was so raw. But, yeah, agree. Yet again with football stuff, it's like, come on, but believe. Come on, we still believe we can do it.
It's coming out.
Nice.
Okay, so I'm stealing myself for this one here because Deadbeat Punk's written in again.
Tiba coming home.
Oh, he's here.
Yeah.
Rudyard Kipling.
Yep.
I'm off for a walk with Dog.
Yeah.
I'll come back when you're finished.
We're only joking. We love it.
Dearest modelling esquags. Don't know what an
No, that
esquag
is.
I hope you all look as well as you sound.
No, not today.
No. Well, to be fair, you do look as well as you sound.
Like hammered shit.
So he starts off with, I have been a Fallout fan since witnessing my first gratuitous death animation. I happily stomped around the post-apocalypse wasteland, stealing, killing, and insulting everybody I met. Sounds like he's just general data on his way to work. Many, many deaths later, I started to pay attention to the quests. Realizing I could complete quests in different methods depending on my skills, the RPG fan in me had awoken. I completed that game endless times forever, tweaking my character's build and of course playing as various shades of arsehole. Fallout 2 followed, funnily enough, and was a revelation. The world was bigger, the quests and the characters were far richer and more well developed. This too remains a fond memory. Hours spent burning my retinas on the wasteland displayed on my monitor. There is outrage at this part of the tale. Black Isle were in the middle of making Fallout 3 titled Van Buren. It promised to be a game to dwarf their previous efforts, but we never got to see this project as Interplay sold the rights to Bethesda. I was a member of a forum called No Mutants Allowed at the time. That place was nuclear for years afterwards.
I've heard of that place.
Bethesda was going to ruin our beloved franchise. Fire and pitchforks. If Twitter had existed at the time, Todd Howard would be ducking from virtual Coke cans full of battery acid.
Can this episode be called Todd Howard?
It might have to be. Not me, though. I always loved Bethesda's games, and after playing Morrowind, I had every confidence they would do justice to the series. Fallout 3 landed and came with a little lunchbox and a bobblehead. I have that set. Fucking outstanding. They nailed the setting. Leaving the vault was jaw-dropping, and Liam Neeson was me da.
Yeah.
The naysayers tried to continue their narration of Bethesda's entry not living up to the older games, but they were robbing themselves of an excellent experience. By the time all the DLC rolled out, I was more than satisfied with my time in the Capital Wasteland.
Yep.
Mothership Zeta, that was so good.
Oh, yeah. After Fallout 3, Obsidian entered the fray. Sharing a lot of DNA with Black Isles, we were finally getting the new Fallout experience from the guided hands of the original team. New Vegas actually gave us a lot of the elements of their cancelled Van Buren project. It took what Bethesda made and improved the story elements, including factions and modding weapons. The Mojave was the Mojave was a delight to explore and had tongues wagging for Bethesda's next entry in the series. There was quite a wait until Fallout 4 was announced, but announced it was at E3 2015, and better again, it would only be coming out a few months later.
Wow.
The Pip-Boy Special Edition was pre-ordered. Excitement levels peaked. I could have pissed myself sober.
A lot of pissing.
Yeah. Every screenshot and trailer teased a beautiful open world setting. It was at this point Bethesda really nailed their merchandising, and I took full advantage of this. Shot glasses, bobbleheads, keyrings, dodgy mobile phone games.
Pip-Boy.
Fallout 4 launched and Lady Punk accepted she would lose me for a week. Had my phone and my Pip-Boy ready to conquer the Commonwealth whilst bopping to the Wanderer. It didn't last that long. Lady Punk did not get her week of peace. They had turned Fallout into a looter shooter with shed building. They removed dialogue options, builds, and skills. You just endlessly leveled up until you gained all the skills you desired. The story was gash. This was a deeply average game, but as a Fallout game, it was a fucking disgrace. This was the last time I blindly pre-ordered. Todd Howard proved the no Mutants Allowed trolls right. They eventually ruined the series. But at least we got some cool merch out of it. I know Fallout 4 has its own fans, but Bethesda left the door open for Obsidian's Outer Worlds, so at least we aging wasteland explorers can get our fix somewhere. Still haven't tried Fallout 76 yet. Bring back the growing option in VATS, deadbeat punk.
Incredible, beautiful. But yeah, Outer Worlds exists, so just enjoy that.
Yeah.
But yeah, wow. What a beautiful epic that one was.
Yeah, I don't understand the base building for that.
I didn't do it.
I just don't see why. Why? No, exactly. Why?
In its defense, because Fallout 4 doesn't really explain a lot of the base building stuff properly. If you play it in survival mode, it's essential and it is actually useful.
Is it?
So, because in survival mode, and this is kind of what they pushed into Fallout 76 as the core gameplay loop, you have to manage your hunger, you have to manage your thirst, your medicine, all that kind of thing.
Oh, like New Vegas.
Yeah, like New Vegas is survival mode or extreme mode or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
So what you have to do is basically, as you work your way through the world is so big you don't have fast travel. So
you have to stop somewhere.
You have to stop somewhere. So you build the bases as you go, and you'll sit there and think, okay, I'm near Diamond City. I need to get this, that, and the other, or do this mission or whatever, I can get over to this side of the map, but I'm going to have to rest and come back and stuff like that. So the base building works in the context.
You should have had that on standard difficulty.
Well, that's it. The thing is, the base building works in the context it was supposed to be there for. But the problem is, like,
accessibility and stuff, isn't it?
It's the accessibility into it, but when you are tutorialized into it, when you're building up Sanctuary at the very beginning of the game, it is the dullest thing in the world because you've got fucking Preston saying, go plant some crops, go build a tower over here.
Clean up all this litter.
Exactly, yeah. And it's like, it's the worst.
Do I want that can? Is it useful? Do I want that can?
Keep the can.
Oh, yeah, I'll pick it up. I'm too heavy. Fuck it.
There is a lot to like about Fallout 4, and I really do still enjoy Fallout 4.
It's got one of my favourite characters, Nick Valentine. Love him.
Yeah, I would love Nick Valentine.
Love Nick.
But the base building thing is one of the best features that's explained in the worst possible way, because by the time you get further into the game, you'll think, I can build a base here, but I don't fucking want to because that tutorial was so bloody annoying and it wouldn't let me continue until I'd gotten the precise screw in the right place or some shit like that. Like it's so in its defense, that is the good thing. I will agree though, some of the storyline is shite. There's only one good story in it, like a good major plot line running through. Like there's 4 possible endings of it. 3 of them are bullshit.
Excellent. Is there any more mail?
Yes.
Excellent.
Oh god, sorry, my throat's going here.
Is it another big one?
Angry Kurt, best boy Angry Kurt, has come and says, "Hi, gentlemen. I'm going to briefly take this to football." Oh.
Yes!
It's coming home. It's coming.
Football's coming home. Come on, Gadget, sing.
Very often, a big match will get hyped up and then be a damn squib. Apologies to Biggie and Stig, but this was particularly true with the 2019 Champions League final between Liverpool and Spurs. After the spectacular semi-finals for both teams against Barcelona and Ajax, respectively. I didn't say Ajax. I bet you're expecting me to say Ajax.
I was vaping then. I nearly fucking choked when you said Ajax. I'm like, fucking hell.
After the spectacular semi-finals for both teams against Barcelona and Ajax, respectively, this game was hyped to the max and ended up being incredibly dull for the neutral fans.
Can I quickly mention, if you've never ever seen football in your life and then somebody says, watch this match, oh my God, it's such a bad
Honestly, it's awful. Not even for the neutrals until Origi scores that second goal at the end. It was fucking dull. We scored we scored within the first minute and then we pretty much defended on that.
How do you all remember who scored where in these things? I can barely remember what I had for breakfast.
I can tell you exactly, because with football fans...
You know how to get the ultimate weapon on most Final Fantasies.
True.
Do you know what I mean?
Fair enough.
It's the same thing.
It just always baffles me how football fans go, well, that match in 1976, if he hadn't scored then, we would have won that one. It was like,
the thing is with football, it's a secret nerd thing. It's stat heavy. There's a lot of things to it. It's for nerds.
Honestly, yeah, unfortunately I didn't give a shit because we won it.
Yeah, it don't matter.
Yeah.
Once the final whistle came, I couldn't give a shit, but the match was poor. Especially, he's right, that the semi-finals before that were incredible on both sides.
Kirk goes on to say, in media, I would go to films and Spider-Man 3. I was a huge fan of Spider-Man 2 and really hyped for Spider-Man 3, which ended up being pretty bad. Not the worst film by any means, but nowhere near Spider-Man 2.
It's
the bit when they make Green Goblin lose his memory. He's forgot who you are now.
Well, it's the Peter Parker dance.
Oh yeah.
When he's got his emo fringe going on and he's giving it large in the middle of the street, pointing.
The only good thing about Spider-Man 3 is that James Franco meme where he just goes, so good.
Yeah.
Like me and Kate, whenever we send something, like we just sent, me and Kate will send like that gift to each other if it's like an appropriate response to something. It's just like,
I always forgot that Sandman's in it. I just forgot.
Yeah.
I just forget.
Where they just
it's got a good intro to it.
They changed up Uncle Ben's death to involve him, didn't they?
Oh, yeah. Retconned, yeah. Oh,
retconned it, yeah.
Okay, so last up on the deck we have Ray. It says, hi, Modern Escapism. I remember back when video games still came in physical boxes, and every game shop will likely have had at least one poster of, are you ready for this, Oodles? Final Fantasy. Because we're going back there.
What is he saying?
When the PS3 was announced, the hype around its most important exclusive Final Fantasy 13 and Versus 13 soon reached a boiling point.
Yes.
New graphics engine for next-gen consoles. New gameplay style promised to revolutionize the old turn-based formula. Not to mention all the new games sharing a universe telling an epic saga of a story.
Is it the Fabula Nova Crystallis? Something like that. Yeah.
However, it wasn't the case. The graphics were pretty, but not quite blowing anybody's socks off. The semi-action-based battles I can't describe as exciting, while they seem to take away the fun of strategizing with the old turn-based design. The whole playthrough doesn't have any towns or cities, let alone a world map to explore. And the epic shared universe? The concept was scrapped at some point when the game was trapped in development hell. What was left behind was a convoluted mumbling of a plot full of self-made meaningless terminologies. However, despite all the trash talk, I still feel bad for Final Fantasy XIII.
I don't.
The franchise had been bearing the weight of pushing the limit for the for JRPGs for a long time. But times have changed. The gaming industry has grown out of that stage, and one company can monopolize a genre. But Square Enix still have to go with this over ambitious plans because it's a Final Fantasy title. It's a successor of 7, of 8, of many more. I would say between 8 and 13. People expected nothing less. Hopefully the title can go back to being a series of fun games in the future.
15 just looks like The Witcher.
I swear somebody said to me when that game came out, they played it, they said, yeah, the game's not all that, but it really opens up after you've played
50
like
hours.
40 hours of it. I'm like, what?
Yeah, the first 50 hours is a tutorial going down corridors. The last 10 hours is it's open world.
The worst bit is I got right up to the point where the game was supposed to open up, and I hadn't built my team.
Boss.
I hadn't built my team properly, and I got basically soft locked against that boss. I couldn't beat it, and because of the structure of the game, I couldn't go back and grind.
Oh no, you can't go back and grind.
You can't respec your team. You can't change tactics. And it wasn't that I was being bad at the fight. I was just doing it wrong. That boss has an attack that can one-shot your entire team if they've got an HP under a certain level.
And he one-shots you near the end of the battle as well.
Yeah. Guess whose maximum HP was like 50 points below that level? Because I put all my points into strength, not into HP.
Yeah. And if lightning dies, everybody dies.
Yeah. I fucking hated that with a passion.
It's not good at all. It absolutely fascinates me that they can make like Dragon Quest 11 and then Final Fantasy 13 from the same company. It's like
you've said it now. You've got to go play it.
Fuck. Bye. Yeah, but it's incredible how I know it's different teams and stuff, but it's just mad. Do they not talk to each other in building?
I did 13 have another
2 sequels.
Yeah,
and the second
insane.
Final Fantasy 13 2 is the better of the trilogy, but it's still not good.
Lightning Returns wasn't very good.
It's worse than 13.
Yeah,
there's a timer on it. You have to complete it in a certain amount of time.
Yeah,
you'd be fucked, mate.
And the weird thing is, Versus 13, which is supposed to be like a fighting game based around Final Fantasy 13, became Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah, it did.
It's impressive how that can happen in Square Enix.
The main character from the trailer was Noctis, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
God,
weird.
So much Final Fantasy chat on this episode. It's not like they're not even that good.
Whoa. Wait while the wrestling special.
Just throwing that line out there.
Is that everything for the mailbag there?
Yes, it is. I'm going to go lie down in a corner and dine.
Round of applause for Gadget there. That was brilliant. Well done. Well done. And round of applause for everyone that sent those brilliant bits of feedback. Thank you very much. We're going to let Stig wrap this up now with some socials. Everyone's favourite bit.
Yeah, everyone loves the socials. You can find us on Twitter at Modern Escapism. On there, you'll find a link to all of our episodes, our socials, and our Discord. If you have any comments, you can either tweet us there or you can email us at modernescapismpod@gmail.com. We do some gaming streams, so come and watch us do that at twitch.tv/modernescapism. If Oodles isn't dancing on garage roofs this Saturday, he might do something. We'll let you know.
I'm not going out for a while.
Yeah. Mondays, Biggie will carry on his Biggie Die series as he continues to play through Dark Souls.
Yeah, in my defence, I was drunk on Bank Holiday Monday.
I think we've got drinking problems on this podcast.
Yeah.
We need an intervention.
You two keep missing your streams because of drinking, and me and Gadget missed ours because shit.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, that's not your fault.
So, yeah, we didn't get on our second play of A Way Out on last week.
Server issues, wasn't it?
Yeah, we couldn't connect to each other. So server issues. Apparently, it was Apex.
Yeah, I read on it. They absolutely destroyed
Apex
everything.
Fucked the online servers. Yeah. So we played Sea of Thieves, which was brilliant. We still had a great time doing that.
Yeah, fun watch, mate. I watched it.
Really, really good time playing that. I threw up in a bucket and threw it on Gadget's face.
Yeah. And then we played the game.
It's nice to watch. I don't really like playing it that much, but I love watching it.
Yeah, but we'll be back playing that. We will have played it again last night when you hear this, and we'll be back with that for as long as it takes us to get through.
Yeah.
So next week's episode, we are going to be doing fads. So Tamagotchis, yo-yos, Pokemon cards, troll dolls, or a stick in a tire if you are Big E.
That was actually a good joke.
Twat.
So yeah, fads. Let us know what fads you got into in your youth or you are still into right now.
This might be the one that I get kicked off the internet with.
we all know about your Pornhub comments.
I've got worse than that, mate. I've been into some fads. Oh boy. Woo. Looking forward to it.
Guess,
yeah, so that's
listeners, guess which one of us was in a cult?
I start the cult.
And as ever, leave us those 5-star reviews. We really appreciate a good review, and just drop it on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to us.
If you don't, we'll get Todd Howard to come around and see you.
Yeah.
With all his jank.
He's going to come in like this.
That's not what I meant, but
Todd, put your jank away.
Check out my jank.
Excellent. So on that, we will bid you a fond farewell, and we will see you for fads next week. It's been a pleasure, and you're lucky that I'm on the show this week, or unlucky, who knows. Good night.
Sorry about my language.
Someone's ordered takeaway without me. Bastards.